With the World Cup gripping the globe, we get to the important nations fight. The Nations Cup is here for PUBG for 2026 as we are ready for 24 teams to descend onto the battlegrounds as a whole as they are live from Seoul, South Korea to figure out, hey, there's Avenger already. Oh God, how did he get on camera this quickly? That's ridiculous, but it's going to be a good one. We have got an opportunity for one team to rise the mountain once again for PUBG Nations Cup for 2026. How is he doing it? What is this? Anyway, my name is Kalaris, your host. Joining me, I have Matrim, I have Mark Power, I have Gibson. Apparently, we have a fifth member over there as a spy. But Matrim, it's going to be a good old time for PUBG Nations Cup this year round for 2026.
Yeah, we're in that fun part of getting the qualification stage, so we get a couple of countries that don't necessarily always get the love whenever it comes to the Nations Cup style. So we'll see if they can fight their way into it, but it's going to be a tough competition given the fact that we've got some pretty big names that they're going to be competing against.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing year on year is the fact that this tournament has really grown into its own Gibson. Of course, we had, 2019 and other years
Ассалаумағалейкум.
just a 16 team.
Бастап отыр JJ. Рекламный нелер, правила проведения и так далее.
Yeah, I think more countries is obviously going to make it so much better. And
Заранее
I feel
стильно
like if you're in the
бастап отыр.
survival stage this year,
Что,
like,
өзің
yeah,
қалайсың?
you've got a chance, and then you go, oh wait, you got neutral and Ukraine in here. That's 2 spots already gone in the top 8 already. So it's going to just make things a little harder for some of those teams that would have been on the board
Валейкум
anyway.
ассалам.
Yes,
One.
terrifying competition, especially since
Шүкір, Ахмет, өзің қалайсың?
mark from year on year kind of moved and shifted on how many players you can have per team, etc., and things like that. And with these new nations coming on in that are extremely powerful, that have been omitted for a past couple of years as well, we knew that they were kind of chomping at the bit to get in here and look.
Валейкум ассалам.
Yeah, we can't
Yeah.
avoid the fact that there are players here today.
Магазин бар ғой.
You look back at some of the historic PNCs that they haven't
Мына
been
ең бірінші болып тұр ғой. Корея. Ой, Корея деп Қазақстан.
best not competed. Not this time
Yeah.
though. Our participating teams are including those players.
Реально бастамады әзіл.
I think the
Андай.
survival stage is gonna be a kind of
Разбор полетов, анонс, анау мынау реклама, бәрі жүреді. Потом 3-те басталады ойындар.
100%. I hope everybody's working on
Так,
their
кстати,
passes.
разогрев
I've
қой.
already got my PNC bike that I'm riding around on, ringing my little bell. It's all good stuff over on in-game here. But here's the format as it does stand. We've got a survival stage for 2 days, then a day's break, and then we'll be
Качерим.
moving into that
Ссылка на-
grand final later on. Matrim, when it comes to this survival stage, 4 new teams join. And actually, now that I look at those 4 new teams, coincidentally, that might be my picks entirely. That's weird.
I mean, they're pretty strong squads, let's be honest with you on that one. Of course, there are a couple of underdogs that are going to be competing, but it is going to be the top 8 from this one that move on to fight the next top 8 that are already kind of situated. But let's not forget about prize pools.
Дұрыс, өзіміз тектер. Ассалаумағалейкум.
Is, of course, as well, not only the 130,000 for first place in terms of the lion's share of $500,000, you've got also the PNC event pass also adding to that. I think when I was last looking at it, it was
TikTok ограничений беру мүмкін, типа.
900,000 already in game mark, and you've got
Біреуден
special prizes
копируешь
for
деп
that
ше.
final too.
Yeah, if you don't know, get in game now. Get yourself the event pass. As you said, I really like the bike. As
А,
well.
бұны рестримға ешқандай ограничений жоқ.
Get in the game. Get the event pass and support the players in the team.
Definitely so. Today we've got 5 games coming on at you here with double Erangels, Miramar Tego, and Rondo as that lovely filling of the sandwich. But what's important, Gibson, that, it's been the talk of the town. We have got different circle settings for this tournament, and that land ratio one is going to bite hard for these couple of days.
Yeah, and you spoke about it when we were talking before. Rondo, I think, is going to be a map where the land ratio could really cause some havoc. But the big thing for me is going to be timings, right, Kalaris? Because after like a minute, the zone's going to start closing a lot quicker than it used to. So you've got to loot and move so much quicker than you had to maybe just 2 months ago.
Yeah, you do. And of course, we've got a lot of returning strong names, strong members from across all of PNCs as a whole. Vard, of course, our returning champion mark here, 89 matches to his name. Of course, players like Luke 12 and Leo from Chinese Taipei, who's been in every PNC, also standing up there alongside him.
Lads, yes, come on, Vibes. No, it's good to see
Ih.
you returning. Really cool guy.
Кәдімгі қошеметтеп отыр бізді. Украина, Қазақстан.
But we spoke about this last time with PNC. Actually, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. So I'm really interested to see how this team, UK, because I can be slightly biased, are going to perform. They've decided what they're going to do with the IGL. We're going to be focusing on T-Bone. There's a say, is that the right call? Is he going to be aggressive enough? The team.
Қазақстан бірінші рет қатысып отыр ғой.
So it might be a bit of a cohesion, but it's good to see those names back, and especially.
Уағалейкум ассалам, қалайсың, Мұра?
He's huge as well. He's a good guy.
He's been around for a long, long time. But let's take a look at who was the champion last time around. And Mark, when you look at this team, Vietnam, I suspect they've got a damn good shot of being a repeat champion because in scrims they've looked terrifying.
Look, these guys in the scrims, you say, are insane. So you cannot take your eye off the ball with Vietnam. We know they're going to come in. We know they're going to be the defending champion. And they sweep it at the very last minute. They're kind of that momentum-based team. I'm intrigued to see, especially when we look at home nations, like we look at South Korea, can they try and stop that as well? But you've got to potentially put in the fact of these new teams, with Team Neutral, obviously Team Ukraine, they're going to actually, I think, cause some chaos in this lobby.
Gibson, of course, you got UK looking to try and show up and repeat what would have been 2022. Do you think that they've got a shot here? What do you make of it?
You know what, as long as they have a shot, I think the big thing for me, though, was Miraku coming back as a coach. And I think if the little birds tell me right, they're actually going to stick to having one
Seal'Ket'te
idea
Heaven
all
geldi.
of it wrong, which will definitely help them compared to last year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They were having some switcheroos. They didn't really come in super focused, it felt like, last year on around, but Heaven will be returning for South Korea as well, a two-time champion here for PNC. And the interesting thing, Matchroom, about South Korea is a lot of people had some questions like, okay, yeah, but where are the big names? Where's Salute? Where's Sol? And things like that. This is a South Korean roster that is extremely well-tuned, and Seongjang on GK as well looked amazing in PWS.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't have like the big names that everybody's been used to for the several years, but whenever we looked at the PGSs, this is a lot of our heavy hitting performers. Like, yeah, okay, they're very consistent in the way that they
Alga, Igor.
Sometimes it's a lot of survival, but it's a very heady
Oğlum жұмыстасың ба? Барып көрмедің ба?
Of course, we also have to look at our
Соседний районда өтіп қалдым. Көрік емес па сен үшін?
Gonna be over there in Hackatory as well. Scappy bringing it up. This is... It's weird to think about that these guys have not played in PNC before.
Көбеле стадион деген ішінде болатқан көрейік қой.
Some new teams and some teams looking for redemption. And one of those new teams, we have Hakatori and Coach Alrain joining us from Team Ukraine. Hello, guys. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you all. Well, Hakatori, tell me, how is your first PNC experience been like?
Скажи, будь ласка, як тобі перший твій досвід участі у PNC?
Я дуже радий, мені подобається. Я радий, що я можу представляти збірну України.
I like it very much. I love to be representing my country and I'm proud of it.
Well, did you have any expectations? Because this is your first PNC, you must have watched all the other ones before, right?
Це твій перший турнір. Ти попередній дивився чи ні?
Ні.
No?
He doesn't watch PNCs previously.
Oh, so you have no other knowledge from PNC, so this is your first one competing here. Well,
Желание
tell us a
жоқта бар
little
ғой.
bit about Team Ukraine then, with one word. How would you describe Team Ukraine then?
Мынау форма ше айтпақшы,
Нашу
кім
збірну України одним
Ермактан
словом.
сұрағам. Форма 69990 вон тұрады екен.
Powerful. Okay, I
Oh.
like the confidence. Well,
Қалай?
now
Мусин саған ма, бір біле деген.
Магазинде,
онлайн магазинде. Сіздің теңгемен есептесең 22 теңге.
What would you like to say to that?
Багато гравців кажуть, що ти
Ясно,
найкращий
я багабрав,
гравець у світі. Що ти хочеш їм відповісти?
Дякую, що вірять в мене.
Thank you for believing in me.
Thank you. All right. Well, any last words before I let you and Coach Alrain go?
Які слова фанатам, можливо?
Вболівайте за Україну, за нашу збірну.
Support us and cheer for Team Ukraine.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Hakatori and Coach Alrain, and Udachi to Team Ukraine. Udachi?
Енді удачи деймін.
Okay.
Орысша сөйлеп кетті ма, Коренко.
Bella got a little pop out of the middle towards the end, but let's take a look at some of our veterans also returning. Oh, this is a big one, and I want to hit on this quickly. Yeah, Mark.
Я сол түсініксіз болып кетті. На корейском перевод сенесен не получается сайт перевести. Соны бір қарадым да, забил.
It's great to have him back.
That's some big names coming back. One of them is back on the stage.
It's correct. See, he is back in 4 years. This is a nice time to be back, right? How are you feeling? How's it like to be back?
I'm feeling good. It's nice to be back and represent Finland.
You know, back in 2022, when that was your first PNC, you guys came in 5th, and I'm wondering, after a little bit of time, and you know, you've gotten stronger, you've collected a little bit of trophies here and there. What's the goal for you then?
I mean, of course, we're gonna try to play for win, but first we need to qualify for finals.
Yeah, right. Go one step at a time. Can you tell us one word? How would you describe Team Finland?
Goats.
Goats.
Yeah.
Not 1, not 2, but 4 goats. Would you say your coach is a goat too?
Yeah.
5 goats. Okay. Well, before I let you go, any last words from you or Team Finland to the fans? To the fans, you gotta say something
to the fans.
Yes.
We're gonna try our best, and thanks for supporting us.
All right. Thank you, Corexi, and best of luck to you for Team
Thank you.
Finland. Wait with me. You cannot leave. Bye.
Bye.
Just
Of course, Bella holding Curexi hostage once again here. Similar in PGS, of course, Matrim, as we take a look at all the numbers and the breakdown. I think a lot of people are going to be scared of the likes of Tambu and Himas coming in here to yet another PNC.
Oh yeah, I mean that squad is absolutely nothing to be terrified of. I mean that is there's so much capabilities in this one. Looking out, of course, we do have Trick that's going to be coming back in, finding some good returns on it. Indonesia as well as United States, China. A lot of what we're going to be looking at moving into tomorrow. I think that whenever we look at
Çok nadir отсутствует ограничение гейма.
these newcomers stepping in, and it was nice to get like Corexi
Интересная
his
шахматница.
insights.
Yeah, I was really hoping you would leave it at no.
Twitch, YouTube'dan спокойно ретрансляция seviyorsun da официальный трансляцияларда. Трудно ограничиваешься. Дублированный контент.
To this Gibson, but that's what I've gone for, and you've agreed with half of me.
Yeah, I saw your team and I was like, well, I can't pick the exact same team as
Балдар настрой нормальный зато.
So I went for Argentina, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but a little birdie told me Argentina are going to be very aggressive agaagainst one of the other teams in the roster. So I thought, you know what? If it works out for
Бәрі кәдімгі настроен болып тұр ғой. Серьезно. Бірінші күн көбісіне перепоинт.
Not only via that fancy, but also for the fancy event and drops that are going on as well. So make sure to keep tuned in and good to go. And if you are cheering at home, oh wait, surprise, surprise, China at number 1, Mark. Is there any?
I can have hands up. I brought every single helmet. But
221 мың дауыс берген екен.
No surprise, and actually quite surprised the gap between China and Vietnam, despite the defending champions. So obviously interesting to see for me that there is a bit of a gap between those two teams.
Yeah, fair. You can see that as well. We are in the same venue for our survival stage as we were for PPMI at the end of last year, Matrim here. So quite a few of these players are going to be familiar with it, of getting warmed up. And a lot of them, bear in mind, normally I would come into PNC saying, especially when we're normally in Korea, that Korea was favored because you're on home soil. But a lot of these players have been there for quite a while now because of PGS.
Yeah, with the PGS setup, we did have a couple of situations with PGS and like passports and the way everything was coming in with visas. Everybody was stacked more onto the PNC side of this to try to prep for it. So that kind of gives you an idea that eyes were for like defending country as well as the prize pool that's going to be coming out from this. So I think that everybody should be a lot more comfortable like you're talking about. Also just have eyes looking around, see if we can spout out a Martin anywhere.
All right, let's get to it then. It's time to start PNC.
Grazie, не одобрено. Легенда бұл жерде 2 ұшқы.
Hello everyone, everyone, it's Bella here, and PUBG Nations Cup is officially back. Right now, right here, the 16 teams here are all hungry for their spot in the grand finals. And we all remember last year's survival stage where Team Indonesia actually surprised us with their massive upset. And the question on everyone's mind is, who is it going to be this time? Who is going to completely defy the expectations for PNC 2026? Now, this stage really has it all. We've got the defending champions looking to cement their legacy. We got the newcomers ready to make their mark. And of course, the returning squads out for redemption. And every single player here in the lobby has their own story and a dream for that PNC trophy.
Алдыңғысын Вьетнам алды, оның алдында Корея ұпытты.
And keep their dreams alive. We're about to find out. Let's get the show started. Here is PUBG Nations Cup 2026.
Okay, we've got ourselves all of our teams ready to go and descend on down. Only 8 teams will get through this survival stage across the next 2 days as we take a look at a returning champion, Gibson. I'm hyped for Great Britain.
Yeah, look, it's a good one for them. I like how you go to the Irish person to talk about, you know, the UK's chances, and that's what
Ұлыбритания.
Was that a little bit
Верно,
targeted?
что
But no,
опытный
look,
игрок
this is a really
Алга.
experienced roster. I spoke to Michael. They're going into this with a completely different mindset than last year. T-Bone's going to be IGLing as we expect, but look, anytime I see Vard, Vex, and Lobby, I get excited because Vard's one of my favorite players to watch.
I've got to jump in here for a second. So, Kalaris, your hype on Great Britain? Or on United Kingdom? Are they on your fantasy team?
Well, you know, the prices just didn't work out. You know, I would have picked Australia as well, but the prices just didn't work out. Let's be honest. Australia's usually here for like comedic relief, in my opinion. Matching, what do you think?
No, I totally got them just for that because like you need to be emotionally invested in Australia because they're gonna do some of the wildest stuff, and it's gonna piss you off. So I specifically chose.
соңына дейін
Let's be honest.
Хобамен екі орын ауысып кетті деп ойлаймын.
Australia will buckle you in for a ride if you pick them.
I think so. I was talking to Tiggleton a lot yesterday about how things are going for them. They seem happy with everything and how it's going to go down. But as we said, a powerhouse. Ukraine coming into this mark. Of course, they've got 3 of their Na'Vi members. DFX has played with them all in the past. They are all mega fraggers.
Yeah, look, this is a dream team, right? This is a dream team coming out for Team Ukraine. The only concern I've got, there are some big players, there's some big names, and there's some big ideas in this team. How is that going to gel together? How is that going to play? You said they've played together. I get that, and some time has passed since then, so maybe they've settled. But it'd be intriguing. I think they're going through. I'd be shocked if they don't, but I'd be interested to see how aggressive this team plays.
Kazakhstan are new
Міне қарасай, хобар кетті.
are subbing in from
210-ның орнына қарасай.
Hobber and
GT
Hobber.
210-ның орнына. Хоба, Айн5, Verstory 20.
Technically their coach listed, but he's played at PGCs. He knows what he's doing.
I think
Шаш
that's
жүздің.
better, right? Bringing in Hobba, I think that's a big impact to the team, and I am 5 is another player that I'm excited to see. Look, there's a reason why Kazakhstan.
Байқысына таза аутсайдерлер ше, Индия.
I think so too. Of course, we've got India returning as well for yet another year of PNC, and Matrim, they've been playing the EMEA scrims as well.
Хоба ойнап кетті.
Kind of unfamiliar to this. They've had a bit of a rough time in the 2 PNCs that they've played in the past.
Predict
But
Казахстан
this
чемпион.
roster has a little bit more power relative to those other ones. What do you make of it?
I mean, whenever you look at it, you do have to admit that this is a squad that's coming in with far less like LAN experience overall. We do know that India loves PUBG, and whenever we look at like PUBG Mobile, the way that they play it, they understand the mechanics and the meta in certain fashions. But now it's just going to be about making sure that they figure out how they flow into what's going on with all the other teams around them.
Yeah, look at him, the cheeky man.
Дұрыс.
Here for
Сол 210-сыз барамыз.
What a roster.
Оның орнына Хобар кетті. Походу тренер қойды 210-ды.
Mark, it's an all-star roster.
This is a crazy roster. I'm really interested to watch how Aduzi and Batulin's play. Again, 2 massive names from our region, right? I'm interested to see how they go. So we've got Blue sitting there. Levante's a big name as well. So you look at that on paper.
Кішкентай бір аңғарда ойнап отыр ма?
Together. But as you have all picked apart from me, they're on your fantasy team. I just was a little bit unsure about how these Aduzi and Batulin's might play out. But they're a qualified team for me, though.
Сонда да тарих сиініп тұр ғой жігіттер, не болса да.
Because way
Үміт
back
көп жігіттер.
years ago, when they theorized a roster for neutral, I talked to Batulins and he said, okay, yeah, but maybe a Doozy and him would conflict in terms of style because they're very different IGLs. But I think for
Igor?
sure they're going to be on the Batulins, especially with having Lou on board, right? They're going to be following that kind of style, I think.
Yang Chung Arena дейді о. Білесің бе қай жерде екен?
Anyway, as of when he kind of joined Seoul,
Yang Chung Arena.
So maybe he's going to be happy just shooting at things.
I spoke to him before the event, and he's going into this like a grudge match. Like, he really wants to win. He's a little upset about the fact this is his first PNC. So Batu is going to go into this one playing hard. And look, I've always said it. I think he's one of the greatest players there. I always say, right, he's one of the greatest players to play the game. I think it's not a hot take at all. Everyone's going to agree with me there. Most people will. But I think Neutral are going to come into this, and they're going to try to get off to a hot start.
Oh, they're taking their maps away. You know what that means, Matrim. It's almost.
Бұл сағат ровно 3 болып ойын бастап отыр.
We got a lot of teams to talk about, but there's only so much time. Let's start this off. It's PNC 2026 live from Seoul, South Korea. Game number 1.
Видеоларды көріп қалмаймыз сен, Игор? Қалған видеоларында.
Let's get it. Game number 1, Matrim.
All right, it is PNC time. We are starting off even having Levante neutral off the go in the plane. So going to be coming in from
кетті
the
бастайық.
west, or the eastern
Кварияға
side
кетті
of the west. So
Қазақстан.
pretty much everything's going to be on the table on drop. A little bit longer of a stretch if you're wanting to go.
Қасында Филиппиндар бар екен.
This should be a pretty standardized drop from most of our teams, Colaris.
Should be. Now, of course, there was kind of things like we saw the potential for some hot drops going down. I asked UK straight.
Команда емес, игроктарды жинап алуға болады. Бір команда ретінде.
That Argentina was going to be going elsewhere and kind of circumnavigating that entire situation. That said, looks like they're going towards.
Бізде қазір бір стабильный андай ойнап жүрген команда жоқ қой. Әртүрлі ротациялар болады. Әр турнирде әртүрлі командалар.
The environment here and figure out how you work around these other squads. This is going to be a really hard
таблицаны жауып
they have to
тастайды
deal
екен
with it. A little bit of distance coming out, and yep, India unforgiven. At least
Опа,
does manage to get
опа,
it.
Индия.
Can't quite get the run over, but
Абеген сияқты қағайындап жүрғаны Адалер Кроули ғой примерно. Машинасы қалған.
It's taken some time to do this. Can he get to the tree and survive?
Yeah, the funny thing is that this is all towards Boatyard as well, like that. Even though Rostock is completely free, so they could have detached from one another. But they challenged for vehicles this early on, and now are kind of still encroaching on this Boatyard position. So there was technically room for both of these teams to have a spot. And they've decided to be a bit more aggressive. I can kind of understand it from Argentina's side, right? I think that they probably believe that India is a bit of a weaker mule in this lobby compared to some of the other ones, based on some of the track record we've got, as well as a lack of exposure to those international lands.
Look, India's already had to just kind of drop down to the belly, try to get some TPP vision on what's going to be going on around them. Argentina is a lot more aggressive in trying to find utility as far as weapons and getting everything set. They already know that they've got enough of one angle contained, so if they can pick off one player, they might just be able to swoop around and find more. Given the fact that this is pretty much in the circle in a great position to kind of maneuver around from this point forward, there is no rush on one of these squads. But that does mean it's more complicated for India as they have to figure out a way to extricate themselves.
Yep, just trying to bail out the other side of Boatyard by the looks of things, but as you say, with Unforgiven on the other position, it's a bit more difficult to make this work on out. Sort of 37 new players participating in this PNC, so a lot of fresh blood, fresh meat potentially for some of the veterans as well as some of the top-level players. But at the same time, a lot of those top-level players are also newcomers.
Китай, Корея, Вьетнам, командалар бар.
India does have the capabilities to kind
Олар
of
уже
turn
финальный
this, but
этап
they have
қойып
to make
қойған.
sure that they
Бүгін
get
ертең
balance on angles of approach coming from
групповой этап.
Argentina. Snipeball is playing off on one
Квалификация.
side. Unforgiven, like you mentioned, is going to be more up to the north. Looks like he's managed to secure a vehicle and get looting a little bit better off. It's just going to be about can the other two players from
Бірінші
India
ойын ғой,
most
иә.
notably kind of get into a point to get their loot back better, because it is going to be Argentina sweeping that northern wall, trying to come around, and Translucent's already looked like he's got a read on that and is moving away from it quite efficiently.
I definitely have my concerns about this. I mean, like, as much as Argentina probably feels like they can clean them up, it does delay where you want to be maneuvering. Thankfully, the circle does kind of favor them, but again, you know, it bears repeating what we said in the pre-show. The circles this tournament are different. Land ratio is gone in 4 and 8, so you've got to be really on your toes about maneuvering. And looks like Unforgiven's looking to just pick up his friend, get out of dodge.
This is pretty well timed. I mean, most of the squad for Argentina is up in that northern area, kind of running along the wall, so should be able to get out of position very efficiently. Looks like that's
Тут
going to
нормально вам?
at least pick up 3 of them. And that's going to set up a pretty nice retreat. I mean, loot's not the best, but it's not terrible either.
Not keen at the same time,
Şey
but
güzel
Canada
direkt.
might be keen here, going up against Chinese Taipei to start things off. Jimboy and Adam, good position here against Xavier and Zeno, as they do take them out quickly. So that's not too bad, just on this rotation as they try and find a little position for themselves. This is on the north side of Georgia Pole, really, so technically speaking, they maybe were very, very active and ready for this as they did move alongside. That's a good pickup here for Canada to start.
Povkalar var mı
Apologies come out from
sonuç?
Canada right off the get-go, picking up that first blood style situation, so they should be pretty comfortable on that. Chinese Taipei, though, this is going to be really hard. They're not even having a decent path into the circle yet. They already have a couple of other squads that are already starting to position around them. Most notably, Finland's going to be the next in the gauntlet after. Ukraine, though, is just in an incredibly good place to start this one off.
As we take a look at the Ukrainian boys, Hakatori, this is, again, an extremely scary person to be going up against in these kinds of lobbies. You know that he's going to be coming for, of course, advancing from survival, but then trying to challenge for that championship position, right? So, yeah, big hopes for this Ukrainian roster.
Whenever I looked at it, it was so hard to make the choice between, on my fantasy roster, going with neutral or Ukraine just due to the price between the two of them, and it's almost like looking at two different sides of the coin, right? Like, I'm feeling like neutral is going to be very tactical, very much about macro and positioning, but Ukraine just can demolish somebody with the firepower coming out of it. I mean, this is going to be really intriguing to watch as the battle progresses, especially given the territory that we're watching Ukraine start with. This is a great spot specifically for the style that they are going to want to play.
For sure. My only reservations, and kind of as a little bit alluded to in our pre-show as well, is the fact that when Diffex left Na'Vi alongside Fairest and Hakatori, when they were still on the okay, we're bouncing around, it was the backstage kind of conversation was that it was just a clash of styles and not necessarily, well, maybe egos, you could phrase it like that, but just like approaches to the game and things like that. But if I'm Diffex here in this situation, I just sit back and say, all right, I'll shoot at whatever you want me to shoot at, because we've got a really good chance of going very, very deep as this Ukraine roster. But again, that was like 2 years ago, so maybe everything's settled, right?
You have to assume,
Вьетнам, Южная Корея, Таиланд, Китай, Бразилия, Германия, США, Индонезия. Уже финалда. Топ-8 команда вот этой.
Family can fight sometimes, and sometimes there could be some bad blood in those types of
Қазір 16
situations.
команда.
But a lot of times, as it progresses forward, most people kind of drop off. They realize the business is business. Everybody's here to try to do the best that they can, and then you kind of come back around on it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's probably calmed at this point, but we'll see. We'll have to see. Maybe somebody just decides, like, no, we're going to sit Diffex off to die first every single time.
I completely agree. It's like, you think about like football, right? You think everybody on a football team gets along? Like,
There's no ego on those squads at all, right?
So it can happen from time to time, but I think, yeah, the eyes on the prize is going to be very important here, especially for some of these great rosters. Kazakhstan is one that might end up flying under the radar as well, as Fex already starts off against Code Marco. I feel like this lobby might be very EMEA coded.
Турция, турецкий спотта.
Before this, but I mean, we've got some really good rosters here, and haphazardly EMEA also has a lot of countries that do exist within it. So I think that there's going to be definitely an EMEA lean to the play style of a lot of this lobby.
But that's not necessarily bad, because that does mean the fact that it's going to be a lot more macro-based. It's going to be about moving and positioning, not necessarily more wild, let's just try to kill everything that we can, which does mean that good strategy and good gameplay will be rewarded in this qualification. So not necessarily as loose as some people were a bit worried that the qualification series coming into this could be. As you can see, it's already pretty settled. Most of the squads understanding exactly what their win conditions are and where their danger points that they have to play for are.
And as these circles narrow down as well, it will be even more spicy as to where this could go. Because, for example, if this just kept hard shifting north or hard shifting south, all of that water could still stay in later in the game, but it's not going to. What could potentially occur in our circle settings as a whole. But also do remember as well that our red zones or hazard zones are DraftKings starts off with a double here against K-Man and Adam with the M249. That's a good spray down for him to get things rolling.
All right, they didn't find India, but staying here does manage to find some damage on Canada, finding a couple of kills. This is going to be right on the edge of this new zone that's going to be pretty much centered around Pachinki. There's a lot of dead zones going to be around it, most notably the Badlands that are going to be kind of in position a little bit more along this kind of area coming out of Sunken City or Boatyard, whatever you want to call it, moving into that school area. We do have neutral that's already in position over there, eyes on to Finland. Finland's going to be right next to Argentina. Denmark's actually making a rotate right outside of Canada. There is nowhere for Canada to go. Every single position that they try to play for is just getting bullied, and this is just continual harassment. Canada is the first eliminated.
For sure, that's a beamy kill read. That is the kill feed kill read, and he said, okay, let's just hit them hard alongside Gustav's calls, of course. That is them reading that perfectly to a T. So well done there by Denmark to be able to capitalize on that after seeing the casualties do go down, but at the same time, Comarco now peppering some shots in against Japan. Where do they want to go? I mean, it's not actually a bad spot that Japan is currently taking up here on the south side of this circle.
I mean, it's so much more of a cluster over into the north and into the east right now. Japan has managed to set up a pretty nice 2-2 split. Good compounds, a lot of control. No real team's necessarily going to be jousting up or going for a hard crash into them yet. Maybe Norway, who's kind of playing along the peninsula just over into their east. Malaysia, though, they've got Great Britain on one side of them, going to be making it a lot harder for them to kind of deal with, or United Kingdom. It always drives me insane that they use Great Britain as their letters, but then they're technically United Kingdom. Why do you do this to us?
Yeah, and the funny thing is that Great Britain is technically not the same as the United Kingdom.
I know! That's why I keep correcting myself.
But look, I escaped like 20 years ago almost, so it doesn't matter for me. I'm whatever. You can say whatever you like to me, man. It's fine.
Just can't say England. That's the one bad one. I know the rules.
Yeah, well, considering that a few of them are from Wales, well, anyway, we'll talk about that later. It's another topic for another time. We've got plenty of these teams to be looking at now.
All right, so Death Road's got a lot of attention over there with United Kingdom stacked over next to Malaysia. Of course, Ukraine's going to be a bit on the tail end of that. Nobody's up on Potato Mountain at the time. Other side of what's going to be going on Ukraine just to the west is going to be where Aussies are going to be hanging out at. They've got themselves split in the compound coming right out of that hillside. Of course, India's moved into Pachinki. They've got neutral right up next to them. And then Argentina's still finding some space over into the west. This is kind of calmed down for now, but new circles could be popping in just a couple of seconds, make this a lot more chaotic.
Yeah, to give people a glimpse into India as well, obviously you don't get too much word from them and how they're playing things out. And even on compounds north of Pachinki, they've been challenging teams like Yoga Benita, who are extremely aggressive in those early skirmishes as well, and kind of going 50-50 blow for blow for them in the scrims too. So this isn't exactly the pushover India that we've seen in the past, but they have been very cautious about kind of their approach up against Argentina, and I can respect that. It's mature gameplay.
All right, everybody has just jumped in vehicles and they've made a run. Pachinki's stayed inside the circle. Aussies are going to just crash right down into the trenches. Use this, they managed to get right up in front of Turkey, who look like they might have been in a similar position. Norway's going to be wrapping back behind Turkey, who had eyes on Australia. Kazakhstan's going to be playing on the Pachinki hillside, kind of sharing it right now. Off to the west, they have a competition that they have to be worried about. Chinese Taipei is trying to come in right next to Argentina, who's running a wide split, and then Finland's got to come in from the north.
It's a toughie of a circle because there's so much field that still does exist in it, right? So taking those trenches is not too bad a spot to be able to take up. And of course, on the east side of Pachinki, there is even those kind of war dug trenches. But of course, you got to remember, we still do have the pickaxe in play. We still have all those explosive in play. You can make it does make those fields a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, it also makes this hillside way stronger to play. There's some little
bit of
vulnerabilities. You can see Philippines already trying to use that. Chinese Taipei looks like they're just trying to squeeze in. They might be just going for a crash right into Pachinki, but the way that India is set up, this is going to be where their defensive line is already positioned. So Chinese Taipei with no options, they're being forced away. Monty's going to pick up one, and then it's just going to be running right into the other Aussies. Can they at least get a knock on it? No, Chinese Taipei is out.
Not too bad a steal from Translucent, so a point on the ball for India as well. Of course, as Translucent is a returning player here for the team, alongside Unforgiven for the second PNC after playing in PNC 2023. So good to see them back. Translucent now on the board, alongside Ryzen here, who's, again, as you say, holding out this side of Pachinki in a pretty decent spot. So they might be able to get quite a couple of points off of this. As now Finland still scouting around up on the church position here. If they can move forwards onto church, they'd have quite a nice spot themselves. They're just looking to kind of like hold out those edge positions because this Finnish team here, Matrim as well, they are very well versed at playing ranked with each other, pubs with each other, even Finnish tournaments as well as Nordic tournaments. So I think that this is definitely a scary roster.
Games of future.
Oh, are we gonna get some geometry coming in? Looks like Tig's got
Опа, Данька!
Kazakhstan, nowhere to go. Philippines going to be able
Данька,
to
жить!
force them back to regroup on the hillside. CJ gets nice shots on IM5.
Сол Филиппиндер ең жақын орналасқан.
Managed to find it. Turkey, I think, starting to get a little bit nervous, realizing there's some problems. Smoke's going to come down, but doesn't
Heal
look
joke,
like it was
IM5
supposed to be
çoğaltıldı.
that scary yet.
I think Turkish roster here might have PTSD against
Filipinler en жақын
the
орналасқан esen.
PGSs. They were dying to it quite a bit on like teams like S2G, etc. and stuff. So got to be careful about
Ver
that.
story.
Starts things off against Malaysia though.
Аңғарда
On
алған
this
болсам
east
қасына
side of the
барады.
circle, knowing that
Екі
they're
өте
playing
кетті.
edge. Actually,
Үшеуі
they're
ойнап
just
отыр бақа.
backfilling this position. They could get a little bit bitten here, but I think Ukraine should be okay in responding to it. Actually, no, he's parachuting in. Okay, so that's kind of reinforcing.
Now it's just going to be on the setup of angles. Ukraine now starting to just feast over here. Malaysia has nowhere to go. This is firmly entrapped. It's just running right down into the United Kingdom or dealing with Ukraine up on top. Vard's going to go ahead and get some victories out of that for himself. And where else do you go? Just make a run for it. And no, can't even land in Pachinki.
Yani
I'm hoping Malaysia can do something here throughout the survival stage as well. Shen obviously being the absolute star of that roster. And then alongside him, just a great team of R8 as a core, right, that have been able to qualify through to EWC at those previously Vega esports. So we'll see though. That's not exactly the best start from them. Coming in on the edge against Ukraine. I mean, what are you going to do, man?
Yeah, I mean, you're moving down into an open field with Ukraine that's now firmly encroached on both sides. You were just trapped over there. And Malaysia did kind of put themselves over there, but they were in the hunt for going on to kills. Looked like they were trying to harass what was going on with the United Kingdom. There are still a couple moving factors that are going to be moving into this a bit more vulnerable. Most notably, it is going to be Norway having to deal with Japan, as well as the Philippines trying to sneak their way in. If they do have the
знания уже не действует на
Can we get a
топтарға
closer
ше
zoom in
соны.
on Hakatori, please? There, that would be just enhance, all right? Like you can see his paws and everything. But no, it's a good start here from Ukraine. The thing is as well though for Ukraine is that as much as it's a good start from them on this edge position, it's a little bit difficult oftentimes to actually get off of this hillside if you want to go straight west. So that's why we're going to see them go for this wide ramp south to try and, well, take fights and then just find themselves a bit of a
Кетті Норвегия, заезд, Украина.
There is teams here. Norway's here to try and greet this.
Кетті міне Украина, айыртысымен айыр отыр.
They're like, no, we'll just shoot and destroy everything.
Эйтсі жалғыз стал және.
Such high firepower, they're like, just play edge.
Ha, пусть точкасын
Okay,
var
we
oğlum.
can't go west. We'll just try to kill anything. But it does look like United Kingdom has realized there's an opportunity. They are starting to maneuver over the point to see if maybe they can go after Ukraine, but Ukraine just takes down Norway so fast.
Грубо говоря, Нави состава.
Oh, what? Hakatori, hello? Okay, well, that was as quick as anything there. Fex, a little bit disappointed. Wait, they're actually jumping on that at Ukraine. That's a crazy maneuver, but it actually just might work out, knowing that they're very separated. At the same time, Philippines here, going up against Japan, knowing that all of these teams on the south side have to make a big move.
Filipinlerin de
Destroyed.
Yeah,
Filipinlerin de
Japan
заряжены
real
var.
bad, and that just put them into another problem. Crossfire down in the low
Kalmar'a
section
toy
of the
oynattı.
valley.
Mor vurdu.
Philippines does have one of their players go down, should be resible. It's just a matter of how much do Ukraine want to continue running. Oh, the circle pulls
не
over
деген
to
зонаны
the
қарашы,
field. That is gonna be
ё-моё.
problematic for Pachinki.
Қазақстан за зоной, машина жоқ оларда,
They get more
по-моему.
knocks
Қазақстанда.
on boys as they're trying to find themselves a position. If I'm Ukraine at this point, yeah, I want to clear out the south side, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
Atmaros,
eyeing up the position of Great Britain to try and wrestle that away and use that as a linchpin for maybe a win here for Ukraine to start off this survival stage would be huge. At the same time, Matrim, the teams in Pachinki might have a bit of a hard time about transitioning between some of these buildings. I suppose Denmark's probably quite happy on the south tip of Pachinki though.
Yeah, I like this coming
Өйтіп қазақтарға айтамын, оптар бар болатын. Ермак Итак жүрген адам сол. PUBG спортта жүрген адам. Опа, Волга жүрген адам десек болады.
They're getting picked apart. Neutral just has such a good angle onto it.
Oh.
But at least they managed to find a dip. Oh! Is he fine? Is he fine? I think he's fine.
Сен досың рөлде отқан кезінде.
Get back into the dip as much as quickly as possible. That said, though, Nade's going to be coming in. Some of these car explosions could actually catch them as well. They've got to be very careful about this.
Негізі жақсы ойнайды.
As well as Chirexi, Scav is now down as well thanks to a beaming nade. It's all on Sapta to do something about this here on this dip. So he survives, but it is really a shame for placement points now for Sata more than anything.
Where do you go?
Хилхиттэйгээр жалп бод. Вэстори хоодо. Хиппетта Тиглтон.
Kazakhstan's
Бля, Тиглтон келж ланга.
Aussie's starting to come alive. Easy nade toss just to drop him right on top of Kazakhstan, and there is nowhere to go. Ukraine still has a hillside and is throwing into this direction. There is nowhere for Kazakhstan to go except for just hunker down onto this position. And does anybody else want to go
Әлі 11 команда алайық.
From the Philippines to be able to take down a position.
Мята поделилась. Спасибо, спасибо, Мята. Ойнайтын балдар негізі. Қазір зонаның қалай беріп отқан. Зона. Хобан көтеріп алды. Қайы, Филиппиндар қайы кіргізді.
They've just got to be careful. They're playing great position right now. The way that these two hillsides kind of come in gives them a great defensive position to play for the time being. But as they're having to move more in the open, it's a big problem. Kazakhstan's just a little bit ahead of them, and you can see what they're having to deal with right now. So Philippines has to firefight their way through what's going to be Turkey, Australia, the remnants of Kazakhstan. But it's coming up big enough. Hey, as they're going to get knock on a Schiller.
Never mind mortars, just ordnance experts entirely with those names going forward against them. Now Argentina moving in. Argentina versus India feels like this fight was broiling since minute 1, and now we're back with it. Translucent down, Captain finishing that.
Тиглтон, жеге Тиглтон Астана келеді.
Laying into mortar shots as well.
Мартирмен жалпысады.
We'll just see if they get the circle shift next up.
Denmark's positioning is
very
aggressive. This full split around inside of Pachinki, this is saying we think that we can just firefight everybody that's going to be walking through and we can take you down. Neutral is trying to move over into the east, make it a bit more complicated, but Denmark's mostly focused on what's going on with this Argentina-India still situation. But good old Unforgiven still staying alive, but how much longer is he's going to be walking right into a kill box of multiple teams?
All right, prediction on what actual fights could occur from here as well. I mean, yeah, Argentina and India, yeah, we'll take it. I think every Erangel, unless somebody really wants to pivot away from what is going on in Boatyard as well as Rozhok. But it was also funny, actually, when you said Sunken City before, because every fiber of me, Matthew, wants to call it Atlantis, because there's like 6 names for it, even though it's now Boatyard.
Yeah, I know, it's like, there's so many bad names, like...
Зона, вот зона.
Whenever it was called...
Минуемся зона.
Just things that were going on. That was bad jokes, but it's been long enough now. It's fine. It's fine. Denmark time to come alive as poor old Unforgiven is just trying to fight for his life over here. Can Denmark use the opportunity that he has provided to jump onto Argentina?
At the same time, Ukraine now charging up, going up against Great Britain on this side of things.
Криптің бірінші тажы болса еді қателеспесем. Крипт центрда ғой. Айту оңай ғой. Айту оңай, бірақ көре оған өте қиын ғой. Я вам это как комментатор и игрок говорю. Комментирую одно, играю, когда делаю совсем другое. Со стороны виднее его, да?
This is all just defense right now, and they have to be careful because again there is still neutral just playing off to their east.
Индия болды ғой, игра жизни болды оларда. PUBG Mobile'дан басқа ешнәрсе білмейді ғой.
Stacking up the kills right now. Argentina just down to 1, about to get that res onto Capitan, but Blue Zone on top of him, and Denmark is staying focused on this. They're not retreating back into the safe zone. They want to make sure that they clear out anything from Argentina.
Обзорларды көрім. Қытай, анан клубтарынан клубтары. Сервис интересный, но компы өте қиын комптар. Ол Аргентина жабылды. Әлі 5 ой бар, eSports'та 6 ой бар. Бұл ойында енді бірінші ойын ғой, разогревочный. Арғай ойынға қосылар қалдар.
No surprise, DraftKings probably just going to surrender it over to the blue zone as now Denmark is starting to set up more in their defense for neutral.
Украина бірінші орында тұр қазір, 8
to the safe zone, but they are going to be walking into a couple of areas where they could have some cover. Looks like Denmark's already kind of read that. The rest of the circle still has Great Britain over into the east with Ukraine just to the south of it.
London'un özünde
Turkey's
biz
got a
alt
player
bolsa.
up right in the middle of it all, and there goes Argentina. He actually doesn't surrender it over the blue zone.
Хоба ойнап отыр. Хоба. Bad story. I'm 5 Ермак көтеу. 210'ды тренер боласың деп шығарып жүрген сияқты. Негізі Нави состав десек болады. TX қана бұрынғы Навидің игрогі. Қалған үшеуі Навидің игроктары, Навидің тренерлері.
This is all going to come down to timing because Denmark's kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with Australia. They know that they've got neutral back behind them. Neutral has to deal with Denmark in the closer range threat. Philippines is going to be on the other side of Australia, so it's a little bit of a game of chicken right now about who's going to go first and how the timings of this is all going to play out. Technically, the longer that neutral survives opens up more of an opportunity for
Қазақстанды СНГ-ның осындай орталығы істеуі болады. Бізге көп командалар визасыз ақ келе береді. Көп елдер деген ғой, көп елдер визасыз келеді.
But a lot of shots hitting a doozy. He does not go down though. I swore that some of those could have easily been headshots.
Жанбай ма?
As a Molotov will go through from Mixon, but doesn't quite connect. So a doozy will live to fight another day. Now you can see
Филиппиндар топ-ек театр ғой, жеткілмен.
themselves dips as well to move into, so they've got a little bit of cover against the Philippines. But
Бәрі
There's just nowhere for the Philippines to go either. Denmark is using this opportunity to position to catch whoever moves out of this next. Aussies are trying to use the high ground, but it is all going to be about the firepower that the Philippines can manage to pump out. Good shot's going to come out from Gustav to get the knock on to Monty, and Australia's crossfire problems are going to continue.
Навіть Австралия, навіть Филиппин.
To force a line right up on top of Denmark, and Australia just has to firefight their way through. And remember, they've been loud for so long. They pissed off so many teams.
Wow,
Look at the aggressive movements coming out from them.
At the same time, Levante is going crazy against Denmark in the kill feed as well, as they've actually done quite a bit of damage towards Denmark that I Oh no, he stepped in front of him as a disaster in the Philippines, but they were able to shut it down. Good stuff denying this maneuver here from Australia. And Aya does take down Gustav as well, despite the trade coming out against it. So not bad by Denmark to try and get out of that spot, but Philippines, man, they come out as the winner on the West.
Limping into the circle right now, 2 players up, but they at least have space away from Ukraine, who just decided to
Украина, Филиппины, Дания, Россия, Турция.
Турция going to be about the solo in Turkey hiding up in the middle of it all. Denmark still got Beamy alive and Levante trying to creep his way in, but this is going to be I don't even know how you could try to survive this. There's so many people focused in. Ukraine's even got vision on the other side. Yep, just surrendered over. Now we're in our top 4.
Yeah, as much
Ukraine
as technically there are 2 members of Ukraine outside this circle, the fact that Ukraine is starting off this strong, it's almost like Oh, but Beamy, good shutdown here from the Philippines. 11 kills go the way of Denmark so far, despite getting out of Pachinki was going to be difficult. But again, Matrim, the bell is tolling. Ukraine is 4 alive and looking devastating.
11 kills right now. Control over the circle. Yeah, they're not really like there's not a lot of circle to really be in. It's just all open field with like that one compound where Bill Celtic is kind of hanging out at, going every single time he goes for a peek, just getting punished. It's him and Beamy versus the Ukrainian defense line over into the east, and I don't even know what you do. There's
TX. Crispin'den bitmiyor bu.
He has a lynx. I didn't even know he had a lynx. Oh no.
Türkiye bırakıp Ukrayna attı.
As if there wasn't any more problems coming from
Türkiye'den şok kadro.
Now they're just going to run up on this. They know exactly where he is. Celtic is not even in the tower anymore. And there you go. The Lynx shuts it down. Ukraine 23 points to start off PNC survival stage. Look out. Let's bring back in Gibson and Mark to talk about this. Gibson, this looked terrifying from Ukraine.
Yeah, we were watching that one. They got a great drop at the start. The circle suited them. And then we saw that push on that eastern side. And I think we both said it. UK were in trouble. That's what happened. Ukraine take the win. And Mark, what can I say? But Tori, he's just a difference maker.
those big decision makers, right? And Fex moving out of the compound to go play onto Ukraine. Some people will see that as a good play, some will see it as a sort of negative. I think it was the right thing to do. Ukraine was fighting, they could have potentially got a fair party. It didn't work out for them, and it was a matter of time that sort of Team UK was going to fall. But big plays from Ukraine, and for me, James, it felt like they were pushing everyone, especially and everyone was just trying to get out.
Yeah, the south side especially mattering, right? When
бірақ ол қазір ойнап отқан жоқ GT210. Оның орнына Хоба шықты. GT210 тренер походу.
I mean, I knew that Ukraine was going to be strong, but this is next level. It's just absolutely brutal. Shout out to all the squads also that played around Pachinki for so long. This was a very hard firefight, moving in with some very weird circles. But I feel like everybody that didn't put Ukraine on their fantasy team
Biz de жақында білдік соны.
is a little bit sad.
Қазақстанның деп айтсаңады дей ма?
I'm so sorry. You wanted to be different. I get it. That's okay. That's okay.
Уағалейкум ассалам.
They did do okay. They survived. As we take a look now at those final moments as well, and Ukraine looking phenomenal with it. Now, one thing that's interesting as well is, Mark, you get to these situations, normally with a field ending, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a lot of solos surviving. They're going to be able to dig holes and everything like that. Not the case at all.
Верт Story деген мен алдын көрген. Балдардан енелде. Оны да орыс деп ойлаған. Өзіміздің орыс екен ғой.
And I was sitting there talking to Gibson, it's like, we're going to see a team crash that central. We're going to see a team crash into the field because that's the only thing that they can actually take, right? But it didn't quite happen. Kazakhstan came in that southwest corner. They couldn't quite extend their way close enough to it, and they stopped, and then that sort of west side was just chaotic. Actually, for Celtic, he paid really early, kept his head down, and he got himself a second place.
No kills go his way, Gibson, but we'll take it for Turkey, I guess.
Осы Марк Пауэрден біраз нәрсені үйренген мен де алда мощный комментатор. Главный нелер болады ғой. Тек Мексоның главный комментаторы осы. Марк Пауэр.
In 10 maps, if you can just manage to eke out placement points, you never know. They could find themselves.
Екош.
Yeah, and
Айлықты деп күлкісі бар қойынсыға. Қазақстан несін ойнап берем деші.
I love the team.
Верт Story'nin көтінен бір төбі жүрші.
That coach, though, don't know about him, to be honest with you.
Oh, come on. Are you saying that there is no world where I'm believing that is a Martin strategy? I'm just letting you know right now. Those guys are putting in all the work and all the coaching, and he is just there giving the best of back rubs because, boy, he gives good back rubs.
Yes, I guess so. I guess you're right. And at the same time, massaging the lobby into submission is, of course, Ukraine, as DFX takes 5 alongside the 3-3 and 2 here from the rest of the lads. So if there was any concern, I guess there's no concern whatsoever. But man of the match, stolen away.
Sorry, mate, he's looking into my soul right now. But no, we saw some early kills from him, and you guys made the call during the cast. It was definitely a kill feed read that you saw them chase down, obviously from Team Canada. And they're in the right positions. They're holding teams out. They moved into the town, and obviously they were looking to try and get the kills. It was actually Beamy that made the play closest to that west side field. So even just, I know he's a big killer, but looking at the kind of little bits that he plays out, he understands that they want to be the last team there. And the first team obviously has to be key because they had to take on the Philippines, they had to take on Team Australia that were looking to try and come out the trenches.
Yeah, I think for someone like Beamy, of course, as we take a look at the points coming in, it's 23 points for Ukraine, 16 going
жоқ, прикинь, 6 ойын емес, 5 ойыннан екен.
Saying Beamy is just him. Okay, all right, thanks, Martin.
5 ойын екен ғой.
But Gibson, I think that, you know, when you look at someone like Beamy, right, of course, with the pedigree that he's got now on Virtus Pro, just a deadly player that is looking to become basically world champion, never mind PNC champion.
Yeah, it just shows what he can do when he's not sitting in the blue, man, right?
От первого лица алып тасташы ше.
And honestly, I think that there was more points in that game for them had it not been for the third party from Team UK.
Европеец,
That third
қазақтарға
party
ше.
right at the end when they were fighting
Европа, Азия.
against neutral.
Қытай, Корея ойнауы мүмкін, от третьего лица кәдімгідей.
But look for Team
Обычно мысалы ранкингтің өзіне де кіресің ғой.
You know what? If they keep that up, you see
Ранкингтің өзіне кірген кезде де
himself in for that last
поезд
match,
астында ше 1 минутқа дейін жетпей тұрады ғой. От третьего лица болсын, от первого лица болсын. 1 минутқа жетпейді ожидание. Европа руды ойнайтын болсаң 7 минут бойы күтесің ғой.
So, I mean, if you just send him off on the side and let him do whatever, that'll set him up.
That is true, because every time I see pros streaming and they see like Martin in their games, they're like, "Get Martin, kill!"
Өмір бойы ат террористі
so
ойнап
many times
биыл
on streams,
ат
it's
террористі
crazy.
ауысып
But
кетті
anyway, let's
бәріне
talk about
қиын
actual serious things, as we got Team Australia, who Mark actually sent it to what could have been quite a strong
Қазақстан
spot if the circle comes their way.
Хоба
It's just
Five
difficult
Story
when you
Ермак
get that shift
Ермак розовый
and
наушники
trying to
алған.
get out of that trench over across the road as well.
Yeah, they were relying on that west shift, right? And it was good play for them. Early play, they held off.
Five Story
The second
таяқ
crash
қой
that came in, the
қолдар.
mortar fire, and again it was that kind of dart out from that west. So unlucky when it came down to the zone, but really good to see Team Australia, which you know they've got fans out there which will be cheering them on, actually putting them in position to win. So chaotic team and cause chaos actually from that west region.
Әркім өз ойы мнениесі бар
Give
ғой.
some faith in Argentina. I mean, they
Ат
really
террористі
want it
бірақ
done down
ойнап
India
жүрміш
there.
те
Yeah, it's what I was told. Few people from different teams said watch for Argentina dropping on India, looking for the 3 points, and I'm going to give a credit to India. They took them on a wild goose hunt, right? They couldn't get anywhere near them. I think in the end it was Canada.
Егор біраз оқалды мен неге Азия көріп кеттім ғой. Сервактар стабильный, бірақ дейін да сол 120 мен 160-ның арасында нормальный сервак түскеніне байланысты.
Especially now with the fact that the
Штаттар
zones
аздау.
change and the timings, it can really put you at a disadvantage getting later into the game.
Yeah, especially a toughie considering that Pachinki's in, fields are in. Okay, if you're late, oftentimes there is an onus matchroom on saying, okay, well, let's just crash into Pachinki, see what works there. Obviously, Finland didn't do that. They went around it as well. But for Argentina, they were keen to go for it. Eventually, you get caught by...
I'm Five-пен ойнаған Верстормен олар ешқашан ойнамаған
When we
по-моему.
look at Argentina, this is a squad that has a lot of expectations to qualify. They think that they should easily be in the top 8 moving into this. No surprise on that one. I do like the fact that Argentina is coming in aggressive, though. They're coming in with game plans, strategies. They're wanting to try to starting to assert a lot of authority into the game very early. Sure, that does mean that they're bullying a couple of squads that are trying to find footing, but that's what you got to do. If this is all about competition at the end of the day, it's not about making friends.
Санчоны екі орысты симпан жері керек. Еркекші ше.
Yeah, I think if you look at the current makeup of this PNC, if Brazil is in top 8, right, Argentina has a very similar pedigree, Gibson. They're going to be able to potentially challenge those kinds of positions, because you think about that region as a whole, they play with each other a lot, and they're mixed up in all those teams as well. So I think Argentina's got some good chances.
Yeah, they really do. Look at last year.
Перерывтары
when Brazil won a
точно
bunch
не
of
помню,
maps
5
over the
минут.
course of the previous
Sonra
PNC,
attı.
and you speak about Brazil. That rivalry between those two countries as well. Like, yes, there's
Жо алашорда ол не ғой? Games of Future Астанадағы турикке.
See Brazil take a knock and they're beside them. Their third party.
Олар Астанада
without
турикке өтіп,
hesitation,
потом
and
өтпей қалды.
I think that can maybe hurt them a few times as well. You know,
Бұл жақта состав чисто не ғой, но пек болды ғой. Пектің показательдері бойынша.
Yeah, I mean, rivals,
yeah,
right?
good
You've
stuff.
got teams like Neutral, who had a bit
Games
of
of
a
the
tougher
future.
time in this game, Mark. They kind of fell victim to the, okay, we're in Pachinki and now we have to try and skirt around the edges, which, to be fair, Levante actually did a pretty darn good job of putting in a boot against Denmark towards the end. But there's only so much you can do, I think, trying to make the transitions later on in that game.
Well, it's one of those things, right? It's always well known that you only commit to a city if you know it's going to end there. I think Neutral didn't really have much options. They went there. Denmark already had the hold, but Levante, we know he's a powerhouse, right? He's always going to dig deep and actually get some points. Like, he did get caught out by the zone, but he caused so much damage. Actually, for
Тренер что-то 200-дон не справляется, походу. 200 өзін барасына.
Beanie went really early.
Ояндар деп бір-екі шапалақтарын деп ше.
They were the first team to then try and hold off the Philippines and Team Australia coming in. And actually for them,
Мен төртінші игрокты білем уже кім екен.
Not bad at all, not bad at all. I'm getting word that we have just a small delay before we actually get into our next game here. I was thinking to myself, Matrim, you know, obviously with the World Cup going on, we heard a lot of chants from some of these fans of teams, like America's, of course, had an amazing chant. We believe that we will win. Just, you know, top tier stuff, Matrim. Do you have any chance that you...
Yeah, of course. You come to the American asking them. No, I can't make any of the chants because I was more on the side of what, I'll be honest, the European chants about America, way better in my opinion, but we can't get into the nitty gritty on what a lot of those were allowed. Do you guys have any chance for your specific teams? Are you thinking? Because like I'm guessing some Aussies probably have some good ones.
Well,
I can't speak to those, but they're probably cuss words related.
Yeah, they've got a really good one currently at the World Cup, but yeah, we can't say that one. The problem is being British, actually, Mark. Now that I think about it, all of ours all do have cusses in, so it's very difficult.
We haven't got anything we can put on production. I can tell you.
Егер келіскен күйінше болатын болса, жинақта мүлдем басқаша состав болатын еді.
Let's get out of this one quick. You can get us in
We just have
trouble.
to do the Netherlands dance. That's the only thing we can do, right? It's
Oh, the
just
sideways
side to
thing.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No chance.
Кейін өздері айтар.
I got taught a chant at PNC last year by the Norwegians in Norwegian. It's definitely not stream safe, but it was played on the broadcast all the time wrong. So hey, it was.
Привет, привет, Марина, как дела?
I wonder, Mark, maybe you might know. Did
Казахстан Алга, Мариш.
Because they give me this.
There are some there.
They give me this last year. Yeah, look, my little.
Ты на работе?
A little Norway reindeer.
Little moose.
Yeah, a
Oh,
moose.
reindeer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a reindeer.
Oh, okay. I've not seen a reindeer.
Негізі,
I saw
иә,
a moose, though, when I lived
Папкорп
in
шығарған
Finland.
ғой, не бойынша сол,
That thing was
пэк,
ginormous.
по показателям пэк.
Right, I ain't going anywhere near those moose. They're big.
I'm 5, I'm Sancho, ГТГ болып ойнаған. 210 мен Верстори білмеймін, қай команда ойнағандар. Ну, нормально показательдер болған ғой.
Kind of getting caught off on the south side because they got stuck in
Как дела, Мариш?
bulldozer that was Ukraine down on that south side.
I think bulldozer is an understatement, right? They were one of the. I think they were the alarming team. Once they got wiped so quickly, we saw Japan leave. Like we're like, no, we're not having anything to do with it. You got to look at their position. Their position was well. I actually
long
backed them
strong
for a
of
team that potentially
West.
will qualify. I think it's a strong team. We've got James, we know Tekers, Nancy. Himman obviously is going to be a big hitter as well. And look at their position. They were playing in the right spot. Now, when you've got Team Ukraine to sort of point direction and they were the next target, and the fact that we saw Hakatori of an M16, a gun which I can't even hit a barn door if I stand in front of it, the fact that he was getting knocked, he spins around and gets Vex, who's trying to get the third party on this, is insane. I think, though, that positioning from Ukraine is going to set the stance. People are going to avoid them, and the question is who's going to try and stand up and stop it, because if they take so many points away, when we look at that cutoff line, it's going to become pretty close.
Yeah, it's a funny one having that M16.
Иә, сол
actually,
26
because
жылғы
then
пэктің
the knock
показательдеріне
after
қараған
you
ғой.
see, and he has a mini in hand, right? So I
Қатты
think
басты
that
ауыртпай
the
осылай
Matchroom
жібере
the
салайық деген олар да
Ukraine
походу.
drop is an interesting one on Erangel, because I feel like they know, okay, yeah, we're very used to this drop, of course, we're going to go here, we're going to have whatever loot we can have, but with a circle like that,
Ресейдің составы кәдімгідей каша мен үшін.
thin compared to, you know, what you would need, and you need those
Бәрі бір-біріне колер ғой.
Yeah, I mean, just a good setup off the go. They're already getting you in position to kind of maneuver for it. But I mean, it looks like we're ready to go to the next one.
Курс, Тига. Көп көп ойыншыларымыз біздің.
Listen to the PNC podcast here from us. It's time to give Gibson and Mark the reins here as we get to game number
Presented
2.
by Google Play.
It is time to get
Опа.
ready, Mark. We're going to Miramar for the second map of the day, where Ukraine will just look to increase that lead they got in game number 1 straight off the bat. But the flight path, Mark, really player friendly, going from that northeast down to the southwest, just slightly north of Picado.
Yeah, it does tease us through that kind of Death Valleys in the southwest, that El Pozo, we get a lot
Yeah,
of
бізде де осындай спонсорлар болса.
Looking at the hot drop map,
Yeah, зор болар еді
we
бізде
get
де.
too many clashes apart from obviously the one which we'd indicated earlier, Argentina potentially going after Team India. This time they've not hot dropped them here, Gibson, but they're in a position that actually they could get looted and apply pressure, or hold them out if the zone goes down towards that southwest side.
Yeah, 100%.
Құдай
We're on the
қаласа,
ground area
Құдай
too,
қаласа
which
финалға
I
өтейік.
think in the new way that the PUBG's played with the zones, those early flight drops are going to be a massive boost as well, because you can get all your loot, you can get on the move by the time that phase 1 circle starts closing in. But when you look at the map, Mark, it's Canada have dropped all the way down on the very southern side of the map by Valle del Mar, and there is nobody anywhere near them.
Сол ықту болғанда мүлдем басқаша болатын. Бірақтан ықтуымен Хобан бастар бір қазанға сыймайды.
When the team sometimes plan to go, but flight plan obviously has a option for that. Zone does shift. It is pretty much in the middle. We
Ол
do
жерде
push
кәдімгідей
towards
уже
that
не
El
болатын
Pozo.
еді
A little bit of
химия,
a-
радиация болатын еді
that
негізі ше.
west, but for our neutral,
Бір-біріне тістеніп,
sitting in the middle,
Hamza.
they are taking the lead from Battalions and looking for that twisted minds drop.
Yeah, but look at the drop they have. Like, they're in a great spot.
Апай,
for anywhere to
естен
circle
шығамай тұр ғой,
out.
қалай өтіпті?
And then keep an eye for them
Балға,
to maybe catch
ат
a stray
сборной.
as they rotate in, but you'd expect with Tigleton on the team that moving from Picado, they'll be moving more towards that Monte Nuevo side. But I'm looking towards the edge, right? You've got so many teams on that western or eastern side of the circle. Kazakhstan, Ukraine, UK, and Malaysia.
Мен үшін
A team with a big split
Россияның
map. You
командасы
see the Philippines
каша,
three
таза
players in the
каша.
center of the circle. And then I think is it Shen? I'm not sure who it is. It's in the middle of both Argentina, Japan, and even Malaysia.
I think he was going for the drop in the car and got taken
Да,
away
что-то
from
Казахстан.
Argentina. So he's had to force his way
Казахстан
back into the middle.
что-то на первой игре просрал.
As they would have maybe
Момент.
expected that team.
Валикум ассалам, қалайсың,
Gonna
Ахмет?
look though at Battalions, again a big highlight. I feel like for me they've not kind of hit that sixth gear. They're kind of in this sort of learning development stage. Back as obviously we've had major resets, we have big some changes here. Twisted Mind's obviously coming to life, but Batulins is such a big name and more importantly, big brain when it comes down to this.
Марин, ты на работе? Как дела у тебя? По идее, да. До пятой фазы зона у них была. Почти в середине сидели, но потом уже зона от них сказала. Короче, я по селам. Вы не знаете, я по селам.
Team to watch, right? Shen, AJ, you got Empton there as well. They actually have real pop-off moments. Like, I think when you get into the final,
отлично,
they can get a
отлично,
little bit
спасибо.
different. But Malaysia,
Вот
they're
сидим,
a fun team to
болеем
watch, Mark.
за наш стак.
Кстати,
Кстати, вместо 210 Хоба зашел. Ермак, Верстори, Ань5 и Хоба. Четвером играем. И, видимо, ему солидную должность дали тренером сборной Казахстана. Ротацию сделали в составе.
So some teams waiting and just letting the rest of the lobby kind of move in, and then they'll fill the outer edges of that circle.
Но я так и подозревал, то, что Хоба будет играть, а не как тренер. Мариш, кстати, Тиглтон в Астану прилетит в конце июля. Комментаторы тоже был. О, неужели залез?
In Tigger, he finds his way up. Back to Canada very quickly. Adam has made his way very quickly in towards zone. So at least for Canada,
от имени Казахстана будет играть Дига eSports и остальные приглашенные команды. Я не знаю, я заявку направил на участие как в роли комментатора. Пока не ответили. Скорее всего, не ответят, потому что там все уже у них настроено, налажено и так далее. Да, ну, это не сборная Украины, это чисто Нави состав. Прям, да, 100 из 100. 100 из 100 Нави.
But it's starting to get very hot in and around the center of that circle, Mark, with Philippines, neutral, Finland, Argentina, Denmark, all within kind of touching distance of each other already.
I'm so intrigued as to why Argentina, because as well, like they were looking to go.
Такое ощущение, как будто реально сборная Украины, опа, или команда Нави фавориты в этом турике. У них и так в клубном выступлении неплохие показатели.
Thought about coming in, but having seen his teammate deleted so quickly, he's just going to fall back to the rest of the team. But you know what? For the Philippines, it's a point on the board.
Да ну! Рунокс от страха, видимо, F нажал. Сам выпал, ё-моё.
Hey, you know what? They're 9th in the leaderboard after a few minutes in the second map. It's not going too badly for them at all, but Translucent, he'll say thank you very much for that one. Go pick up some loot, and Unforgiven is hunting down Evan here as well. They're really looking to get some points on the board, and Fevan will just move off on into the distance. But
даже у Инги поинтов есть, у нас нет. Мы пока топ-12.
No, but remember, it's a different change up, and as James was saying in that pre-show, we have seen him a lot in the EMEA scrims, and they've been doing okay. So I've been trying to figure out kind of that pacing, because I feel like the year before it was about the pacing. It didn't get the momentum down. Diffix though goes up, and it's Team Australia. Blood will fall. Oh, he gets shot in the back. Luke 12 sticks it to him. He sticks it quick. Yeah, good news for the rest of the lobby as Ukraine will lose one. Diffix is going to fall, and Luke will confirm that one out. Boostic with the nade in the hands, going to try toss it through that letterbox window, looking to catch another one, but Boostic all by himself. All he's got to do, Mark, is stay alive until the rest of Navi can get here.
Мне кажется, на эти 2 дня стоит забыть про все конфликты и играть, просто играть на команду. За команду, за сборную, за Казахстан надо играть. Надо же не обосраться, они впервые как бы выступают из-за плохого выступления, а вдруг на следующий год нас отстранят. На кон как бы поставлено все. Ну, вот Казахстан против Малайзии. Верстори. Шен нападает.
Might just be the signal to get on out of Dodge, live to fight another day in this one, as Malaysia, they'll manage to keep all 4 players up.
Не, украинцы как-то все-таки справляются с Австралией.
Ukraine and Australia still going head to head over by that bowl.
Нави, точнее. И Тиги остается один.
Ukraine know he's the last one. Obviously got the rig because they've wiped the rest of the team. But he is on the high ground. Not an easy push.
3 поинта сюда. Я тоже примерно догадываюсь, кто с кем там в конфликте.
Yeah, and watch for Ukraine trying to pick up that blue chip and try to get all 4 players back and alive in the fight. They do have a few stations not too far away that they can utilize. The closest one being just a little north of their position as we have a look at the next engagement that is likely to happen. And says Malaysia and Neutral look like they're probably going to be the next team to go head to head. And looking at
статистика дуэли между сборными.
Neutral are just going to keep on rotating in at this point.
I think it's actually Malaysia that stops.
По дефолту типа стоит. Баннер Казахстана.
He's down to 1 more hit, but no, he finds safety in the dip. Still is Miramar.
Yeah, he's going to keep on going now. Is Gustav, of course, playing now in the North Americas region. Will try.
Не, это я же баннер поставил. Это я сам поставил.
Just to keep them moving on their merry way. Remember, AFL in that fight with Finland a little earlier on inside the game. Canada, though, Mark, they've got.
Что не забывали, Соколов Алеем.
Very close to the center of the circle. Really good rotating from them over by that western side.
I'm just worried about their 2-2 split. They kind of got 2 in that corner of Monty, but they've taken 2 north K minus Shimboy. They're holding that kind of high ground towards that north, overlooking, as I classify, I still call it the face compound that Team Turkey sitting in. Good spot if they can try and defend it. But again, you think of this, we've got 16 teams still up, 58 players.
Да,
и
пока...
These areas, these are kind of key areas that these teams want to try and take.
Yeah, Batu's going to just start digging himself a little hole here as well that he can peek up from and provide him a little bit of safety. And I think that the that's right, as much as it's made it really easy for teams to make defensible positions, something we saw a lot of Mark at PGS.
Все в крысу сидят и чисто от ТПП там оглядываются. О, интересная карта. Как ротируют игроки. Ема, это что за круг дает Казахстан? Смотри, через Сан-Мартин, Пейкадо они крутят. Валейкум ассалам, кошмар. Кошмар келді, ағайын, кошмар келді. Шүкір, рахмет, өзің қалайсың? Ну, не закрутил, не победил.
He's got a bad idea. Ketter's going to run over his teammate CJ. Will find Mixon and the Philippines putting in the work.
Филиппинцы очень уверенно играют, кстати.
Mixon will probably be the next one to fall. And well, what do you do now if you're Denmark? Do you try to bring the fight to the 3 members of the Philippines, or with another player going down, do you just back off now and try to live the fight?
Зона нормальная, позиция нормальная.
Obviously pulls back their way. I don't think might be the best. Bolty, maybe not the best driver, as he does cause catastrophic damage, unfortunately, for Team Denmark. They have to now try and hold, but arguably they have to hold the Philippines working their way in, and that is a high hill to run their way over. So the more that Denmark can try and hold here, they'd hope and
Веселый факт.
pray their way around. They might take a big stab at the Philippines.
Густав и Бими храпят мощно, короче, и кюдать. Чарса таки между собой. Ну, так себе сыграли первую игру. Зона, я думаю, не повезло.
Adore Beamy. Like he was the only player that I saw signs for in the venue.
Yeah, to be fair,
Алга.
an entourage of people that were chasing him down. The entourage at the moment seems to be Philippines, as they do see Finland as they take the compounds, and it does give the opportunity now for Denmark to move away, but they move closer towards the defensive line, the dug trenches from Team Neutral.
Yeah, Batulans just peeking over. Remember, Denmark have taken a beating already. Beamy and Ketter, the last two players standing as they continue to lose a little bit of fortification here. And Batu will just use the bike to move silently a little bit deeper inside as they look to play the shanty town just on the edge of power grid. India and Mark still all 4 players alive. What does that really mean? Because we still have all 16 teams left as we move deeper into
Кажется, только начало смотрел. Потом отошел. Фальконы жестко там, сколько? 8-0, по-моему, выигрывали. По-моему, отошел. Аумин. Ебать, английский. Ну, пока нормально. Пока зона вармана. Япония, келе жатыр. Жапондық ойыншылар. Хоба. Давай, делаешь. Нет, все-таки теряет, да, понял? Должен был ронять там его. Я тоже за фурию топил. Чисто из-за молодого. Кәдімгі тоңғайып қалды. Жапон қазақ вартылған. Коничева, аригато.
Not too far away. He did have a panzer in hand as well, so looking for Team Japan, they look for the high ground.
Oh, I think that Feven almost might have made a mistake there. He could have first aided inside the sand.
Feven умирает, походу. Feven, точнее. Нет, живет. О, зона норм. С критом на 60. И Тигл залетают, панцир. Найс.
Yeah, that's a 3-man here. They're going to try and make the push.
Тигр живет. Минус второй. Вперед. Майкл залетел к нему со спины. Да, у нас, пацаны, до сих пор поинтов нет. Позиция вроде бы шикарная. That should confirm it, but DraftKings steals it away, and he steps on up and does a lot of damage. Shinboy is going to be the next to fall, and Canada in a world of trouble, and it's Argentina again.
Adam said, no more, I'm out, I'm digging down, I'm going to dig my fortification. He has to try and hold. Philippines will go for the top side, but Torrens will fall down though, as it is death from above. Levante doesn't know which way to look, but he's got a target. He drops his way down, does find the exchange though, as another one will fall from the Philippines though. And for Team Neutral though, they're backed up into a corner.
Батута есть. Ну, Украина Великобритания залетела. 3-2. 4-2, извиняюсь. Все, Вард остается один. Все как будто дополнительно 2 поинта и через второй этаж Хагатари забирает его.
Yeah, 2 out of 2 here. Ukraine versus Team UK. That's an early death for them. No, definitely it was Australia which I suppose dispatched of their opportunity. Philippines though, they have been dispatched down to a single player here.
Здесь без батута. Пожалуйста, 4-й поинт. А у наших до сих пор 0. Я без малдарда. Тиры голуба болот не до них, наверное.
As India are going to get wiped out by Argentina, but Levante's a heck of a player.
Correct, see.
Писар ойын екен ғой.
for aggression as he pushes his way forward. Levante, huge nade. He comes off the high ground, finds one, sees the opportunity. Underarm though, Japan falling down. DraftKings gets BB though, and for the vehicle, well, Levante has a clean sweep for Team Japan.
Yeah, right on cue. We speak about him. He gets it done as we jump back on board with the ever so talkative Finn. I'm gonna say it. That interview by Corexi was probably the most
нашим
interview I've ever seen.
прям критично, знаете, надо нормально сыграть.
Was more finished than the finished one.
А то сейчас у меня есть мысль, то, что нас кикнут уже в следующем году, нас, возможно, кикнут, и на наш слот уже других пригласят. Зона нормально относительно. Жоқ, ертең де тағы ойын бар, 2 күн ойнайды. Бүгін 5 ойын, ертең 5 ойын.
People will confirm out that kill as Corexi tosses a nade and a molly. Still inside the blue, taking about 5 damage every single second he sets there. But what a molly that is. Emmy is going to fall as things get a little hot here for Argentina at the edge. And Chinese Taipei still putting the pressure on.
Yeah, it's going to get done by Zone here. It does go down for Zone. They should get that confirmation. They do. Sata worked his way down. Scav, obviously, is the final player here now for Finland. I like the aggression, but they didn't counter that sort of north sweep.
Жаңағындай жаман ой барды. Келесі жылға біздің слотымыз басқа командаға беріп жібере ма, жаман ойнадыңдар что-то деп ше. На Индияны 24-те шақырды, 25-те шақырмай қойды.
It's a little bit of a trickier fight with Ketter than maybe he would want, but Ketter distracted a little bit further away with a bolt. So Lou's just waiting for the right time to fire these shots off.
I suppose he's not going to try and hit for the bolty first and apply the pressure, but he knows where he is. He's trying to, I suppose, get the rest of the guys in. They might have the utility that is needed to do so. He takes the high ground, sees Chinese Taipei, so they've got a balance of over peeking towards Ketter. Ketter looking towards that top side. Chinese Taipei, though, has to try and leave, but they leave and they have to wrap their way around Team Turkey. Their position already here. Now, they've got some opportunity, but where do they go?
Төрт апсевер байқадым же.
If Chinese Taipei don't stop here, they're going to apply their pressure towards Norway.
Yeah, and they're just going to park up here for now, play the edge of the zone, but that Bronco's not going to be too of this world either.
Поинтта ұрлап кетті, прикинь. 1 поинт келді, екіншісін Саверді қапмайды. Кетті жеп кетті оны. Все, начало проложено, джиги.
I fear it. We haven't seen Ukraine for a while and they've got back to a 4. Like, where are they hunting? Let's say he's hunting though.
Все, они в плейсмент входят уже, топ-8 команд. Өтсін құдай қаласа, міндетті түрде өту керек. Қанша 4 аптекасы бар ма? Лудың.
Yeah, a lot of this lobby left alive is from EMEA as well, so I think for you guys, you're pretty happy, Mark. You and
шанс бар.
This one might be looking at as Hoba will get that knock on the upchen as Kazakhstan playing from the south, putting in work.
О, Хоба.
Eventually,
Knock берді.
as Turkey find their 6th kill of the game. Circle getting ready to shift here once more, Mark, and this could be a
Позиция бар, Ермак тут будкада. Бля, зона қайтып қараш кетіп қалды.
Remember the update towards the land ratio and the shifts is critical. We are phase number 6.
Норвегия арқылы ойнау керек ау. Через Норвегию.
Positioned up very early on from the guys. So they're going to try and now control that southwest corner. They're going to make sure actually how and where do these teams around them sort of work their way in. Turkey has a compound as well, so I'm alluding to that. I'm alluding towards that Kazakhstan of like where do they want to breach, and we might see a little bit of a split here. Kazakhstan versus kind of Norway. Chinese Taipei, they have a decision to get in the third party or moving towards Turkey.
Yeah, and Turkey, I think with the warehouse they have, they're in a really good spot. But Chinese Taipei, Mark, they don't have a vehicle. Like, I just don't see how they're going to make this one work. Particularly, I think the only good thing for them might be the fact Kazakhstan will probably be a little distracted as they try and make their own rotate in from the south. But as you can see, Turkey are looking to give them no quarter whatsoever.
No.
Нанаги өтетін болса смерть көп.
Massive smoke line wall here. Turkey don't need to move. They've got the high ground on them. If they play towards that south side, do we argue that sort of Norway will potentially come in with a a good couple of shots. Forget that, Malaysia's got the high ground on him as well. Komarko finds not just one, but two for the price of one. And they're finished off. Double grenade wouldn't that. Turkey now on 8 kills as they start to climb the leaderboard. They're now in 6th.
Looking good for me. This is one of my picks for actually the fantasy, as Shilla will confirm out that final player moving Turkey up to 9. And that leaves just 6 teams left alive. Lou, though, inside the blue, got 4 first aids left, but I think this is going to be where we will see neutral team end up on this one, Mark. It's been, they've got a lot of kills to neutral, but it's been tough sledding so far in the first 2 maps.
From them. Not that actually we see Norway kind of some aggression now. They are coming towards this sort of west side. James finds Komarko and puts Turkey back in their box, forcing them back towards their compound, and Cax Komarko out in his zone. That gives them the opportunity. Look at the trench line as they set up now the defensive against Kazakhstan. But Lou ends, it is 6th place. Placement points will come through. A survival game, but you'll take it.
Yeah, and they just about sneak in on the southern side of the circle now, but Celtic's got a panzer at the ready. But AJ will find another knock on the Turkey. Just 2 players left standing now for the Turks, and just keeping his back safe while he focuses towards James, who has that BRDM, so he's going to hop back inside in first aid. So really, it's just a case of take some damage, hop in, and that might just give Turkey the time they need to get the res off here on the Celtic.
You've got to remember as well, given the information that BRDM is not too far away, that's why we're seeing the Panzers in hand. On the other side, though, the Nox, the distraction from Norway, has potentially allowed a little bit of an opening here for Kazakhstan. They're going to launch their smoke walls as they will.
Norvegia'da kendi akup kazanma üzerine.
Norway have set up. Ainsley launches a grenade out. He's going to try and wait. It's going to land.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he finds the first and he sprays the bullets in. They just need more heavy util to get rid of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, and with the blue zone coming in, that's going to cause even more problems now for Kazakhstan as they'll try to get that res off on Diversary in just a few seconds time. The smoke wall.
Ukraina тез қосып кетсе осыны кезде минус верстори.
Defects, he's going to catch one. Actually, no, it's Ermak as he tried to make his rotate in Kazakhstan. It is not going good for them at all here, Mark, as they're being shot at from every single side.
No, Malaysia, they're kind of zeroing in on this. They've tunnel vision. They've forgotten about Ukraine. That's right next to him. Hoba, the sub in, the super sub. He launches a grenade out, but it's going to be a little bit too short. The only advantage they're going to get there is going to dig a trench pretty quick for them. That might be a bit of breathing space away from Team Norway.
Yeah, and just keep an eye on that.
Турция, қосылыңдаршы жетсіз, Турция. Турция келе жатыр Норвегияға.
Just one player left standing. I am 5. He's trying to stay alive here, but he can't. Himan will get the kill. And there's 4 teams left alive. And it's going to be Turkey, Norway, Ukraine, and Malaysia. And Celtic's caught out, but Himan falls as well.
Yeah, exchange out between Turkey and Norway. Turkey's looking to try and get a confirmation. Melibay that hits the spray though, doesn't quite get any clicks dry on the 5.56 though. Ainsley finds a little bit of safety. His head playing peekaboo over the top. Melibay has to
Турция тезірек қосылғанда Қазақстан артын өтпелетін еді.
Southwest is okay for these teams, but they need to clear pretty quickly because Malaysia is going to go head to head with Team Ukraine.
Chilla just creeping up on the other side though as Sly tries to hold off the rest of Ukraine, but the Rock is going to provide great cover for the Ukrainians. AK at the ready as the nade's going to get tossed up on top of that ridge line. But this is a real split here from Malaysia. 2 on top of the rocks, 2 on the other side. And really, I'm surprised Norway aren't putting more pressure onto this fight from the other side. But they're very focused, Mark, on Turkey and what's going on the other edge.
They've got to get rid of Turkey quickly, right? And that's their problem. Hakatori sweeping his way down. He's a strong ranger for Team Ukraine. That's the reason why he gets an opening. Himan will fall down.
Ukraina қайтадан топ-1 алып кететін сияқты.
He gets forced around the adjacent side. The blue zone's going to cause damage. Shen finds Sheena though, and the BRDM from Team Ukraine though is waiting for Shen to jump off to get the run over.
Remember, Norway have one of their own as well for later in the game. If they're going to need his boost, it's going to hop back inside that BRDM and the BZ. Going to just start ticking away damage, forcing them into that reverse as they get a little bit closer to Defex. Malaysia now 2 players left alive, and if Norway can deal with Turkey here, they can pick up what's left of this fight, but still Ukraine putting pressure on Mark, still moving towards the last 2 players of Malaysia.
Yeah, Turkey down to 2, but don't forget they've got the Panthers as well. So for Norway, they can't overstep. Hakatori finds Zemto. Diffix now trying to make the play over. Flash comes over towards the top on the adjacent side, doesn't find the player. Now looking for him, sees the down player and doesn't see the player off. And Diffix wins because he's built different. And Shin.
Таш тусаад байгаа юм. Нажатаад мэдээ биж авцаад ирэв. Украин отоо. Таалаа.
Starting to put in real work as well as Norway are down to a 2. Big opportunity for Ukraine now to go back to back on the wings. Big spray from Bustik. He gets another, and it's all down to Code Marco here. He's driving on off, but Marco looks like Ukraine are going to go back to back.
Молдо, побачимо. Украина тағы да. Я третьего лица, во.
Will find their opportunity at 5 games for 2 so far here. Gibson, what a win from Team Ukraine.
Oh, look, it's just 2024 Navi, and they are having a fun with it. James, back-to-back wins for Ukraine, and we could probably stamping them
Easy Navi.
All I was thinking was, oh no, everybody else. Get out of the way! This is actually terrifying once again. And then we flicked them towards the
challenge.
match, and I'm like, oh no, they have a BRDM as well. This is problematic.
BRDM high ground with this roster. Oh, this is going to be a problem. It might just end up being the whole world versus Ukraine if this continues going.
Might be. I mean, as we take a look back at the highlights as well, Mark, there were moments where I thought, oh, okay, actually, yeah, Australia, they're bringing the fight here to Ukraine, and then all of a sudden, oh, never mind.
Дисбаланс қолын болнас. Әрқайсы 4 балдан.
On the higher ground, unfortunately for them. But I like it, and I think, as Matt, as you just said, that the rest of the lobby needs to look at this. They're either going to go, right, Ukraine's through, let's just get out of their way, because they're going to kill whoever's in front of them. Or will we see...
Чисто из-за патриотизма, короче, Казахстан выбрал. Казахстан, Украина, Великобритания и Норвегия, по-моему, или Дания.
I've got to err on what you said at the beginning of that. I think Gibson, it's got to be a stay away from Ukraine because they're going to have too much impact on a lobby like that, right? If you come in
Украина конкретно.
you're going to feel so comfortable as them. You know you're probably
жалко қалған кез өміні
just off the back of this
показывают, как
alone, never
закрылись.
mind anything that comes
Наши
along in the
закрылись.
next game. So they are a monster to deal with.
Yeah, and when they're in this position already, it makes them even more scary because they can just have fun with it and really put up the pressure.
Нейтральные тоже отлично играют. Поинты есть в каждой игре, и в предыдущей в этой игре. Обратный билет. Дайын тұрау. Жайлап қазір чемодандарын жинаудан сияқты перерыв кезінде.
Did shine through as well though, Matchroom, also watching that game. Turkey, this is an important game from them, considering the first one.
Well, they managed to make it in the later stages, so they got only 6 placement points in game number 1. No kills or anything else like that, just due to being in the catastrophe in the south. But this time around, we really saw, like Code Marco, Sheila find some good successes, found some kills on this one, push themselves up in the leaderboard, and whenever you've got a point sponge in Ukraine up at the top, every single that you can get specifically...
Айттым ғой сол составтары каша деп.
Well, get used to this. Because we've already seen it twice, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time as they're able to bag a ton of kills. Are Ukraine once again?
Қой. Гарри айтпа. Болмайды ол айтпа.
We saw that there was a lift of a limitation on these teams being able to come from individual
rosters
and things like that.
Жаман мағынадағы сөз ғой.
Almost an unfair roster, but man of the match will be Schiller with 7 here, Mark.
Okay, well, you remember he put himself eventually at a point where he went and sort of pushed up the north side. And as Matt said, like, they had to have a bit of a, I wouldn't say salvation game, because there's only 2 games in, but they only got those placement points game number 1. So this was a sort of an opportunity for us to show Turkey actually as they go to that level of aggression. And they did.
Мен бағана kill mode desem placement деген ғой, бля. Топ 5 3 point. 2 ойында 3 point. Әдемі келе жатыр жігіттер, әдемі. Егорштың короны сөзі бар ғой, әдемі.
Ukraine does take 21 as well. And Gibson, just to kind of remark on Turkey again, because I think we're going to be talking about Ukraine a lot. Turkey, for this one, 25 points go their way. Schiller for S2G in PEC,
Вот составпен бар.
really the standout.
Вот составпен алып кететін сияқты болар ше.
Along to some of the higher placements. So hopefully we get to see even more of Schiller throughout the day.
Yeah, I think Drag is right. Like, it's been tough sledding in those PGSs for them, but he has been the standout player. And look, it's a different roster than what Turkey had last year as well. They went great, so I think
I did.
the two changes they've made, I think they are a lot stronger, and the teamwork does look a little better so far too.
Yeah, екі ойын, үш ойын.
Not bad at all. Matchroom, anything else you were able to take away from this Miramar?
Әлі 7 ойын бар ғой,
My
өте
big
грубо
concern
говоря.
comes into this. We were talking about Ukraine and what they're doing and the amount of points that they're
8
making.
ойын дейсің ғой, 8 ойын.
How much influence are they going to take on trying to maybe eliminate some of the other teams? We don't really talk about that enough whenever we look at PNC, but with this stage already, the amount of points that they managed to accumulate, and it feels like no real teams are capable of running right up against them in a 4v4 firefight. Do they start focusing on some
Yeah,
teams that they
TikTok.
may not want to have to compete against in these later stages? They can do that
Бас
already,
кетіретіндей
and that's
платформа ше
terrifying.
негізі.
Isn't that ridiculous that we're thinking about that 2 games in out of the 10? But I mean, it's a reality. It is a reality. All right, we're going to a break here for PUBG Nations Cup. When we return, 3 more games.
Навидің ярый соперниктері финалда күтіп тұр ғой орда.
Hello everyone, welcome to another sit-down game time with Bella, and today's special guest is Team USA. Woohoo! Okay, well today we are going to be playing charades. Ooh, yes, exactly the reaction I was expecting. So we would need to select the charade.
Финалда уже
I knew it.
қазір айтамын қандай команда еді.
All right, but we have a time limit, 1 minute 30 seconds. So.
Китай,
Oh my God, you gotta look at them.
Корея,
3, 2, 1, go.
Вьетнам, Таиланд, по-моему, еще там находится. Вьетнам, Бразилия, Китай, Германия, Индонезия, Южная Корея, Таиланд, США.
Drink.
Alcohol. Beer. What? Cowboy.
Serve.
Э,
Confused.
Go next.
Lost.
You don't know this?
Monkey.
They're never.
Gunner.
Sheriff.
Coffee. Stool. Coffee.
Вьетнамның игроктары қазір жаман атқышбектер негізі.
But you have to riddle me this. How do you not know what a
Жалпы от третьего лица болғаннан кейін көбінесе стиль игры крыса режим ғой.
Good news is you now hold the record. 8. Yeah.
I'm 5 пен білмеймін хоба шығар екісі болып бізде.
Thank you for joining me. Next team is Team Canada.
Қазір бір-бірімен қырылып баса болды әйтеуір ше балдар.
5? Alright, I'll see you guys at the next one. Go Team USA. Bye. Bye.
For PC and console. It's got real-time audio
Қазір 2 минутта
control
басталды.
to do crazy things.
Okay.
So use it and abuse it
5 ойын ғой міне.
as a person.
Таэго, Рондо, Эрангель. Эрангель басында және соңында.
A new way to play Rondo. Smoke that interacts
Күту
with the map.
қойды ау.
And some balance adjustments. All this and more as we dive into the update 42.1 patch report.
Мен
First
айттым
up,
ғой бүйтіңдер
there's a new way
сөйтіңдер
to
деп
dive
қой.
into Rondo. With the Blue Zone rule set available through Arcade Labs. The
Не,
action
жа.
starts immediately. With the
Екі
first
ойында
zone
да
shown on the map
бір
ready
kill
at
істемеген
for
ғой.
all 64
Еш
players to
қайсысы.
fight over. There's also an increased loot and vehicle spawn rate to help you gear up faster. But be careful.
Ондай нәрседен ше,
There's no wait
кіне
time for
осы
blue
Хамзадан
zones.
сұра берсе бәрін
The
деді.
blue zone damage is increased. You won't have any special zones to worry about, but you'll still have to fight for every inch in this fast-paced take on the map. Can you beat out the other challengers to secure that chicken dinner? Next up, we've made some changes to make smoke more realistic. As we
На
mentioned in the
интерактивный
2026
смок
roadmap,
дегенді әлі байқамадым ше
smoke is now interactive
ойында.
and can be displaced by explosions and other physical
По-моему, не работает интерактивный
vehicles,
звук.
care package landings, and more. No longer will smoke
бәрін
be the
біледі.
ultimate cover. You'll have to utilize strategy to make the most of it, or fight against it. We've made a few balance changes this patch as well. The SLR has gotten some improvements. We've rebalanced the blue zone a bit, and healing items have seen some adjustments to weight and cast time. You can find out more about these changes in the patch notes. There's also a new rank season. Racing mode added to UGC mode. Intense battle royale can now take place on Haven and more.
Haven,
So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details.
Именно осы картаны өмірінде 2-3 рет қана ойнаған Haven'да.
Drop into a faster paced rondo.
Максимально скипать істесің ғой. Сол ауыз жақсы болып тұр ғой. Вьетнам. Бля, алдыңғы жылы ана Гадви дегенді шақырып шайып кеткен еді Қытай. Иә. Хамза көп нәрсені біледі. Жалпы. Ар жақтан, мына жақтан не болып жатқан. Тірлік, тіршілік. Мен? Yeah, болады. Кім бар қазір? Қарашайыншы Кто стримит? Хакамалды делим берет. Киви. Ландарчик. Антач. Монтес. Бәрі қарап отыр, по идее.
And you know, we had one, we had two. At this moment in time, I don't see anybody stopping them. Like, they have been nuts. So, I guess what do? Avoid them? If you know they're on the east, go west.
Scary team, scary roster, Mark. I'm in agreement.
On since PVD
comers here. Of course, Neutral had a bit of a decent high ground. They were able to hold off some parachutes. You got Turkey holding down the warehouse for quite a while in that game as well. So, as I said at the beginning, I think very EMEA coded this lobby, and so far we're seeing that come through.
Yeah, and it's how they're playing out, but do they get too confident at some point? We'll come back to Matt's point just before the break. Do they start going aggressive against other teams? Well, who do they go against? Teams at the bottom, or do they go against some big names? Because there are some big names in this lobby, and they know how they play. The Rondo map is going to be the one that's going to be the decider for me. I bag maybe one more win from them. I'd like to see a potential another team maybe be aggressive. Take as Australia done. Be aggressive against our team Ukraine.
Definitely have my concerns for Rondo, that is for sure, considering the changes in potential land ratio. I think the circles so far in our first two games have been relatively kind to these teams here, Matt Finn, but who knows what chaos could occur.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of fragging capability for some of these teams. It's just going to be the fact, does Ukraine get a little bit too comfortable? Do they overextend, maybe walk into Denmark's firing line or Argentina's? There is the capability where we could see them falter, but it's just such clean play right now coming up from Ukraine.
Топ 16-ға дейін призовойлар бар ғой, $1000, $2000 бере береді. Қайдасың, қай жерде тұрасың? Егор, көрсет. Осы жерде болып примерно. Presented by Google Play. Taega. Here we go.
Alright, so playing path's gonna be over into the west around that so kind of coming in a little bit south of airport.
Қазақстан кімнің спотын алады екен? Секірді. 26 сприт алып отыр. Терминалға түсіп отқан сияқты.
Yeah, for sure. I think for Taego, especially out of all the maps,
Kahan spotna alып отыр екен. Қазақтарымыз.
As well as scrims, this was the one that was most figured out. Not too much of potential conflict, right? So even though stretch is down south, teams should be totally okay with it. As you guys were alluding to, though, for Ukraine, it does feel like technically they could kind of do what they want. Technically, they could really put the boot in against anybody that they would see fit. But I think
terminal bazar
maybe doing is saying this is like the very best practice you can get, and just use that to parlay into the grand finals and probably just play out their own game. But that is, oh my days, that's a circle.
Well, very heavy Western
не деген зона мынау. Қайда ойнайтын зона мынау?
West almost centered. That's a starting circle, to say the least.
If we, for the longest time, people like Toby, etc., were like, "Oh God, what if we get that little island?" And technically, now, out of all times that it could have occurred, this is actually maybe the best time for it to potentially occur with our circle settings that are new.
Yani erkek yok ona zona.
Man, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Navi
We've been
komandası.
seeing that island get some attention. I think that we got pretty close to the tail end of one of the games. It was like second to last circle, maybe third to last, where it was still in play and teams were actually fighting on there. Very weird spot to get to, as it does provide some safety as we're looking back kind of what's going on in the last game. I kind of want to still continue talking about the circle while this is going on, though, because you've been alluding to it with the changes that have been happening with the circles regarding water. With the river that's kind of cutting through the entirety of this, the island, and this is going to be really weird for these teams to try to figure out where they want to go.
Yeah, buckle up your seatbelts, because there is the potential that this gets really, really wild. Hey, maybe Team Ukraine after the back-to-backs could be one to capitalize on it. We'll see, though. I think some of those teams that will call a circle like this their home might be the ones to do it. But as we take a look back as well, you can see kind of those pings, and this is Ukraine kind of using this kind of rotation paths as well as where teams may have moved to try and actually go up against. But they found themselves up on these concretes here, and were able to take out so much early kills as well. So much room this team carves out for themselves.
Well, it's just the way you watch them play, they don't give you a chance to actually make a mistake. Like, they just continue to put on so much pressure, they'll eventually just force it. And you just have to take a fight in a disadvantaged position after somebody's been knocked, somebody's already been flushed out. Then they'll move on to the next position. It's so clean, it just looks like they're walking, but it's so much information, so much control. I mean, look at the way that they're just picking apart squad upon squad, and there is no rush to it. It's just brutal efficiency.
I think also, like, when you look at the overall leaderboards from these first two games, yes, the majority of that top positions right now is dominated by EMEA. But I would say as well, as much as Philippines kind of fell prey to neutral on that high ground, I think that they've done well in these first two games to keep themselves in and amongst that pack of EMEA at the top right. And consider that this is basically their second big showing on a PUBG Nations Cup stage, right? So I'm happy to see Philippines doing as well as they are so far, and hopefully they can continue that on.
Yeah, I mean, following in on that, we haven't had a chance to dive into a lot, but again, Turkey, big game for them in the last one, finding a lot of kills. 2 later game successes in a row for them, so we'll have to see how that kind of works out. As now we've jumped over here, this is going to be the nature of the beast, as it is United Kingdom lined up.
Rather enjoy.
Спасибо за follow. What we're going to be looking at moving forward is it's just some much needed points coming up from UK if they can take it down, and yep,
Minus
eliminated.
Japan.
Yeah, shame we didn't see the beginning of that fight, obviously, as they wanted to watch the highlights over in Korea, but that's actually quite important. Only 1 point so far across 3 games. Great Britain there. Yes, okay, so you lose 1 early on in that fight, but there is a world where they can maybe get a blue chip and then get somebody res back up. But the problem is that there's a lot of teams on the north side of that circle.
Итак, Данька, давай делай скала.
So that might deny them time to
Ой, Данька!
1 body early on. It's not that bad.
Everybody being invested in what's going on with the United Kingdom, like you talked about. We've got
Походу, Данька сегодня без печенья.
Finland coming in just with 1 player, but the other one's going to be tail ending. This means that there's going to be a giant cluster right along that bridge that kind of connects the 2 different sides.
Nima bu bo'ldi? Qasında kursant bo'lmagan keyin o.
Does lean a bit more to the south. Of course, there is more landmass there, but the way the circle could pop, who knows? That means the fact that we've got a very weird split with, it looks like Norway holding down one side, Chinese Taipei also holding down pretty close to the other bridge, but the far eastern bridge looks like it's going to be Ukraine with close approach.
I totally agree with what you're saying.
Осторожничают. Мне кажется, они просто осторожно играют.
This is going to make these extremely veteran players play a little bit more tenuous about how they're going to kind of play
Сол,
this
жасасауға киллдарды. 2 ойында 0 килл ғой. Плейсменттан алар 3 point. Topu 13 turga.
Obviously, yes, there's been scrims going on with these circle settings, but it's nowhere near the wealth of games that we had where Landrocio was circle 4 and 8. So there's definitely a lot of question marks up in the air here for a game like this.
И радует, Айратар. Просто сложный генсон, ой, ё-моё, так узнал. Рус, это ты? И радует муси. А, басе, узнал.
Seems like a lot of it is just driving past people and hoping that they're able to hit shots or driving people over. Canada with some road rage on them. As the hybrid scope on the M249 here for Shimboy is looking against this position. Philippines, though, going for a bit of a trade. Adam does go down. Here as Canada a little bit separated across all these positions. Alec will shoot a few mini shots into that. But Canada now loses Adam. So bit of blow for blow here for the Canada boys.
Тигрсон, вот тигр. Делает нефть снова.
I figured that what Canada was trying to strive for here is see if they could catch a rotate, get a couple of points, maybe try to keep their points per game up to keep them in a better position.
Okay.
Doesn't really come out too favorable for them. Canada now still also has to deal with Australia coming up back behind them as we do get the reses trying to come out from the United Kingdom.
Кей, Майн, ты что за динозавр там играет, да? За Канаду.
Finland has been hunting this. They were south of
Делай.
and they followed them up here.
Выжившего спокойно можно делать, по идее. Но стака нету. Стабильного стака.
Against Great Britain, still great team, no doubt. I'm conflicted. This is Great Britain versus Finland, which is where I moved to after Great Britain. I don't know who I want to win.
I mean, this should provide enough time for a rally for Great Britain, to say the least. But I do agree with what you're talking about. Like, what was it, Scott that was over there eyeing what was going on with the firefight with United Kingdom and Japan just a little while ago, and then they just tail-ended off of this. Malaysia still also has to get in the circle, but they're going to be approaching from Godok more that point. Denmark's going to be playing center right now as India with Great Britain kind of repositioning up. That's allowed India to go move down to the bridge. They're playing both sides of it, so that way they can always end up on top. What we'll have to see is, I mean, I think that's a little bit of aerial scouting.
Вообще без понятия, куда она прокнет. На. Хапозону.
Oh my god. Another crazy circle. No way. Oh, that is... I was anticipating where we were.
От воды эта зона уже не будет уходить. Хоба сидит, читает карту примерно.
Is still going on, by the way. Like, they are still very much on that hunt. I think they realize with a circle one like that predicting the circle.
Не, господа, это не зона, это жопа.
Try and hunt the kills if you can see them, and the Great Britain situation was the perfect opportunity to try and go for something like that. So I think that's a great maneuver by Finland early in this game.
Okay, so where do we want to pick the firefights? Because there's going to be a lot of them. There's the bridge that India is trying to cross right now, where they're going to have Denmark on the other side of it. Tailing it back behind that is going to be Kazakhstan. We have Taipei that's already going for a very central...
Она сама по себе такая локация, где нужно только лутать и оттуда уезжать, и все. Не для контестов. Я так думаю. Индусы летать научились на глайдере. The channel and should be fine for playing the hillsides, but they are going to be having to deal with Batulans, who are already playing that point early. Does get the knock on a boost stick, but can Batulans even get the flush? He can get the damage to almost get a follow-up knock, though.
If there are any teams that were going to shut down Ukraine,
ну тут-то, по-моему, закроются уже украинцы. Да, это дерби, СНГ дерби.
Played alongside each other a lot when it comes to ranks, when it comes to pubs, etc. But now Mornay's getting charged up here. Diffex trying to thwart any potential pushes by Levante. Sees in the distance, Hakatori shooting at a doozy in the distance.
Indian халық жауы күтпенсің,
Hakatori is still very dangerous here. They would love to get boosted up, but it's going to be difficult. Panzerfaust against the BRDM as well.
Украина пыталась, мен. Точнее, Нави.
They realize that if they want to try to climb this leaderboard more efficiently, they need to jump on the opportunity that Batulans did provide for them. Boostik's still bleeding out back behind. Batulans now as well as ears ringing from the explosions all around him. But Hakatori and Diffex still both up as Hakatori is going to be defending while Diffex goes for the res. Can Levante get into a position? Because if he can crest up just enough to get vision on it, he can put in a ton of work. He does.
Челленджер не был, ладно? У них же челлендж был. Все 5 игр топ-1 вроде, нет? Как будто чипы надо собрать и ноги делать отсюда. Опа!
basically
Defix.
at the moment, but Diffx says no. Batulin's insta-down. Oh dear me, that's gonna cause a few problems.
Defix, игрок премьер-лиги допоздно. Aldın премьер-лига кіршқан еді. Бізден опыт жинап шықты ғой деп қоймағансың ба? Азоннан көрейік. Леонтов в прайме, Дификс 1. Бердик подыхает. Зона капо. Все, нету челленджа.
Unfortunately, Levante dropped a nade on knock, and that does take down a doozy here. So Levante and Luke gonna have to be playing things out. Meanwhile, all the moves going on. Denmark's taking a really strong high ground position for a
Что-то я нафиг не заметил, где они?
Malaysia's swimming at the north. I don't think I've ever seen in a pro game people swimming up towards that small island. But hey, here we are in 2026.
Look, this circle is just going to be weird enough as we're looking at it. Like you were pointing out with Denmark on the high ground.
А там где еще и огородники есть, да? Что же там, а? Юг штука огородник порядок.
On the other side of this, leaning into the field, there is also the hillside coming out of Hapo that is entirely vacant right now. They can find something to work with. Argentina is playing along the kind of defensive down to the southeast. Here is your swimming, the mermaids of Malaysia in action.
Тут қайтып келеді ғой.
Қазақстан
келді, бірақ Финляндия. Финны.
Okay, here's our tail end approach into the circle as Kazakhstan just a little bit ahead of Finland. Turkey does spot out
Так, на турков едет. А нет, на Норвегию едет. Танька! Неудачный заезд. Қалған рөлде ма?
One of the scariest things for these teams, you talk to them, it's always the holes at top of hills.
Minus 5.
It's almost impossible to scout out, and that was a casualty there for Kazakhstan because of that. Oh no, the red zone!
You!
Fixed down as well here. Australia taking down Great Britain, kind of, but also having some help taking down the oppressors. Good job, Australia, against Great Britain.
Yeah, минус хоба. Минус first story.
Australia down to just Monty and Flood.
Ермак low HP, минус first story.
With Norway's defense, remember Norway is a bit more scattered across the circle, trying to get a foothold into this field position. Argentina is also going to have vision onto it, as it does look like Malaysia taking the waterfront approach might be rewarded.
Химия емес кәдімгі бір кислота, бір радиация болған сияқты, ну.
Yeah, I think you might be right. They might actually just make landfall and be totally unscathed because of it, which is an interesting one.
Токсикация болған сияқты. А, қалай? Интоксикация деймін,
Like there is small moments here where you should be in earshot of this boat, and I think Xavier realizes, but he's just got this BRDM. I don't think there's any reason he should be getting out of this other than just using it as cover and maybe taking some shots, but you don't want to be giving up the boat. So he wants to try and get back to wherever Lunlun may be and set up shop here.
In true Twisted Minds fashion, you can see that Neutral's going to be hunkered down while we have a doozy and Batulin's trying to make some a little bit of a recovery here. Exactly where they're going to land. Philippines are going to be down to the south.
Хобаны никак көтермейтін сияқты. Дания татуды.
A big circle for Denmark, as there'll be a certain Dane very happy in the background, no doubt. But of course, as we take a look here, Neutral, they get shut down by Shinboy once again. Batulin's was back up and good to go, but Alec takes him away. And now, for Neutral, it's all for nothing here. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get back in a decent position for this. Aduzi is parachuting in while this is going on.
Адоуз, кстати, соло остался. Все, нету Адоуза. Ермак тащи теперь, ё-моё. Хобу никак его тоже не понять.
Now Norway has to make their rotate, and Aussie's getting pretty close to Denmark.
Yeah, no tier gear for a Neutral. I'm gonna have to go back and figure out another raid later on. But you got yourself Norway here, who for Tekkas, He-Man and 8C, they've tried to find themselves central spots, but Chinese Taipei is moving on in a position where they can try and find this. Thankfully for them, they can take little dips alongside these fields if they so desire. I think seeing the smoke, they thought, oh, okay, maybe it was a solo or something like that. I don't think they have the full read on it, though.
I just got a kick out of Lunlun driving right next to the Scarecrow, maybe hoping it could eat a bullet or two for him. As Finland in their approach, they were pretty timed out, remember, because they were on the hunt for those kills up to the north. So they're coming in a bit tail-ended on this one. Going to start getting vision from Denmark in just one moment. Malaysia's already definitely spotted them out.
Андай ойынға еш кірсамай тұр ғой.
Yeah, taking the porter, they've got quite a bit of gear in there by the looks of things as well. As IXE does take a knock though against Beamy. That high ground.
Жағдай кәдімгідей көк болып отыр ғой, бля.
They have such a good overlook against a lot of these positions and even some of those craters right there. You can dig as much as you want, but Denmark will see you down on those low grounds. At least they throw down some smokes, keep the porter going here to be able to give them some cover. And that's the big thing for Tego, right? You've got a porter, it's got a great capacity size. A lot of teams do prioritize that to be able to get around there and carry as much loot with them as possible.
Snipeball for India has gotten pretty close to Denmark and now been spotted. That means that Denmark can't necessarily harass down into the fields as much as they wanted to.
Жатуға мүмкіндік как раз бар, по-моему, ше?
A little bit of a reprieve coming up from Finland in a very needed moment. Looks like they might be just trying to dig out a couple more holes to get.
Мен ең бірінші Харипиз деген жөретін едім, ше? Харипиз, бұл.
Yeah, that second nade setup wasn't just about Denmark
Неге?
shooting at them, it was also just in case they suddenly
Саған просто не опыт жетпей жатыр ғой.
Like you cannot be in the same crater all those
Атсын бар, опыт керек.
good stuff there by Finland to shore up some defenses. They still need quite a lot of points to start catching up with the top leaderboards at the moment. It goes forwards against them. Argentina, Chinese Taipei embroiled in a fight.
Кәнетім ят болып отыр.
I think Chinese Taipei realized that there was too much util going up against them, so they had to get out of dodge from that one.
Все, опыт қой. На выживаемость. Менталкаға ана мынауға, короче, опыт керек та. Қанша сағатың қанша сенің өз қари? 700 сағат па? Бірінші состав. Бұл Фален. I'm5. И четвертого не знаю. Но Хтвуды енді бірінші қылып жүретін енді Хтвуды. Фален жүретін енді. Мясникті де тоже можно отправить. Осы бірінші состав қылып ше, мясник.
In a position where technically they can join up with the AR, but it's not exactly ideal. Are Malaysia always in the water? What is this?
Finally, this is a commitment. Look, they beached the boats. This is where they're going to fight, and they're going to focus up on Turkey.
Екінші составтан бірінші болып сол также Хтву, екінші Демигат. Жас қандай, составты да қарайсың ғой, жас балдар болған дұрыс қой. Жастау составты. I'm5 бар тағы екінші составтың өзінде. Жоқ сол атысы бар, енді дальше жетпейді да енді кішкене. Менталка жетпейді дегендей. Стабильный мысалы осы опытный игроктермен ойнап жүрсе ше. Таки Индия әлі өмір сүріп жатқан ше. Қоян да бар, Дига да бар. Соскаға негізі спокойствие жетпейді. Оның да атысы бар, ойы бар, бірақ бір ашуланып кетсе бетке кіре береді ол да. Составтар көп қой негізі. Өздерін жазсыңдаршы, жодым. Кімді жіберер едіңдер?
Has made a massive problem for Denmark, who thought that this game was under so much control of theirs.
100% Denmark, though, is a kind of team that wants to finish this fight fast and get those reses off. You saw instantly, as soon as those knocks came in with that nade, both players from the team started going for the res straight away, knowing that that was the perfect opportunity to be able to get them back up, realizing that they weren't going to be able to finish that fight off as quickly as they would like.
Мен, походу, таптым ше.
Perfect execution just then from Denmark.
Oh
my god! It's a banger!
Как капитана. Маккензи Димова, тебе советка, Дима. Их не деген состав. Маскези ереке аға изи топ Якудза. Ансиді жібері керек.
They are walking right into a potential kill box. Shilla on the other side.
And at the same time, yeah, the circle shifting away from Denmark.
Жанник требовательный, импульсивный негізі ше. Курс екеу бір тесті ғой, курс екеу. Демигатты атысуға қоятын едім мен ше, составқа. Стрелок ретінде. I'm5 универсальный игрок. I'm5, Демигат, курсант, Лига игроктар көп негізі. Екі состав жіберуге болады негізі.
This is kind of what you're looking at when you look at the fields. It is just destruction, mortars, explosions, and Turkey and Denmark now all have to move right down into the trenches with everybody else. And Kapitan, great work.
I think Turkey on the west side is actually moving in at a perfect time.
Yeah, bir pozisyanın özüne көп болып. Потенциальный колер кім бізде? Курсант, Дига, Хту, как колеры. Опа. Чего делать? Сажался. Первый живет.
What a little spot he was in. He was burrowed in like a wallaby.
I don't think I was good until you said like a wallaby.
Айрадар Enjoyer деген ник Оралдың жігіті біздің турикті де ойнап көріп жатыр. Ойыны жақсы, атысы да жақсы, может поколить тоже, поменталки тоже спокойный. Біздің турикке кіріп ойнап көрсең болады, рус смело. Русты, кстати, автоматом как однобальный идешь. Праки, квалы не играешь. E-спортс-то особо опыт жоқ, но как будешь играть, у тебя, знаешь, уровень действительно возвращает, как это будешь играть. Как выживший будешь играть. Тем временем, кстати, да, Ермак до сих пор живет, пока мы болтаем. Хаевку прокидывает. Химон. Химон, походу... А, вот теперь понял, откуда Хаев летит. Ермак, жата берші. Тыныш қана жата берші. Ермак. Бол. Ну, Палин и Мясник. Я вот приглянулся к этим игрокам. Бум! Хорош! Первый бой! Ура, бля! Даешь теперь главное. Даешь? Ура! Первый пойтчики! Бізде бірінші пойнт. Ой, первый килл у нас. Топ-8'ге кіру керек болып тұр. Жеге ертең уже. Бүгін ертең квалы же. Кейін пятница, суббота, воскресенье уже финал. 15 ойын болады. 3 күн бойы. Хотя бы топ-8'ге ілініп кетсе, зор болар еді. Айтады ғой, каждый point на вес золота деп айтады ғой. Лига eSports Астанада алаңда ойнайды олар. Олар клубный турнир ғой, бұл сборный. Бұл жерде ойыншылар чисто не пэктің показательдері бойынша. Мен кәдімгідей 200%-ға сендім, мысалы, Верстори 210 менше, біздің балалар ешқайсысы ойнамаған. Зонаның бұрышында жатыр ше, тазандай жата беру керек қоған. Қимылдамай ше. Топ 5-ке, топ 4-ке ілініп қалатын шаргас. Бірақ қарандар 7-ші фаза, әлі 7 команда 19 лайв. Тренер болып бар керек, бірақ 210-ға дата осын беген сияқты. Қазір 8-ші фаздан көр керек, 30 секунд. 8-ші фаза қайда береді екен. Опа, сишка кетті. Трафкинг кім? Өзіне жаралсын қазір, Эмик. Жарылып кетті C4.
shot out, shut down. Good stuff there by Turkey. Once again here, as now they're able to greet them on forwards. Captain though, good, does go crazy. Starts things off against Cole Marco. Can he get a little bit more done? Everybody else is knocked at the moment. There should be more Turkey reinforcements coming in and shutting this down completely. Wait, where are you going? On the left-hand side. Okay, it's in a bit of a smoke, colored smoke. Didn't realize it was very, very transparent. There you go though, as he does actually spot him on out and takes him down. That is Schiller and Cole Marco being able to shut out.
Oh, top 4. Бірақ зона жоқ. Дәл алдында Мигзен жүр. Ерма, давай. Топ 10-ға кірді. Ну, сабыр түбі сары алтын деген осы. Қанша қайы бар? Почти бетіне келді. Норвегия өткізбейді. Ақын, Дания ма? Дания өткізбейді ау. Будто сейчас его не будут подпускать. Даже обсервер ждут от тебя действий. Давай, Ерема, тащи. Две аптеки, 2 смока. Панцирный бірінші секция тұр. Опа, расчет. Почти. Ну, почти. From Ermac. Ермак емес, Ermac екен ғой. Бұл көріп қойдым негізі. Көрмей қалды. Ой! Энте. Топ 10. Осылай. Пойнттар жинап, топ 8-ге кіріп кетсек болды. Осыған да шүкір қасында да.
Foldable shields, a lot of opportunity here. Beanie almost at the 1k club, 928 damage at the moment for Beanie, who's looking absolutely bonkers. What a performance from him in this game so far, and he continues it on. Celtic down at the moment here. Medabay did take down 80.
Imbalance нәрсе
that shack to try and do something as well. Tekker's on the back side of it, burrowed in, but surely this is a Denmark victory match for him.
Peeking around the sides, Tekker's just trying to see if he can get anything more out of it, but Denmark just coming down full gusto. I won't even say coming down, they're just kind of sitting there, letting everybody walk into their crosshairs right now. It's just stacking up kill upon kill. Tekker sneaks around, tries to see if he can get something out of it, but the angles just aren't there. Turkey's gonna take him down, but massive cost. Schiller, the last one up. 16 kills. Can he make a miracle happen against Denmark? I just don't feel it.
No, here they come as they will be invading onto this position. Get in the rowboat, swim along. The Vikings are on their way, but Schiller, crazy stuff to get things going. 1,100 damage at the moment. He's in the blue though. Surely it should be done. I don't think they know exactly where he is. Does he have any lethal mates? No, he doesn't. He has to come out of here and he's gone. He's gone. That's Denmark here with Game 3 victory match for him.
But hey, Schiller tried to make it a bit crazy.
Густав деген опыты жатырады керек қой.
Other friends here as we're going to dive into all the action as Ukraine finally doesn't get one, Gibson.
Турки прям отлично просто. Очень хорошо играет.
Big performance by them, but Mark just 5 minutes within that game, Mark just turned around to me and goes, "Yeah, Denmark's won this game after that big fight with India."
Yeah, you could tell. No, let's just go back one point, right?
Yani bir kill degende қуанып
You were screaming at me in the ear for Monty not to continue fighting. You wanted to see Team Ukraine fight neutral, and you were so upset that Australia was getting involved, but they only play aggressive though, James.
Yeah, they do. So far here for Australia, it's not entirely working out, but I think as this game does boil down, right, it really is the story of Turkey as well as Denmark. And just as an update for everybody watching as well, there will be a -2 going the way of Turkey due to an unequipping of the mandated skins for the tournament as a whole. But that said, Matchroom, I don't think it's going to matter too much because Turkey is looking fantastic right now.
Look, sometimes it's worth losing 2 points to make sure you get your.
Turkey is looking fantastic right now.
Definitely sent a message in that game. They did not care.
Top 8 şans var.
Squads. We've been talking a lot about what's going on with Ukraine, how they're popping off, and Turkey took offense, man. They didn't get circle control. They didn't have the high ground. They were having to fight for every inch of territory.
Бағана сиштери соус хаймен жарып жатты ғой сиштерді.
So if you don't see that reflected in the scoreboards for now, you know why. Just to keep everybody as up to date as absolutely possible. But let's talk Denmark here, Mark, because Denmark, well, I mean, your name is in their name, so talk about them.
I can't start with that. I've got nothing to do with it. It was good play. Look, when they took that high ground, I think they were hoping for the zone to shift back their way. But I think even at that point, guys, they were really aggressive. They were taking fights. The defensive play. I like that we saw Team India try and play aggressively in towards them. But they had set up. And at that point, it was a set match for me.
Yeah, 1 minute ataydı.
They stormed their way to a victory.
Gibson, are you ready for a second beamy man of the match?
It's almost coming, but I want to give a shout out to Gustav as well. That play on India was insane, and me and Mark had the conversation. I said, Gustav, like, just going to play in the Americas has made him such a better player. Like, going to work in America improved him so much.
No, disclaimer at the bottom alert. I did not say that in any way, shape, or form. I said he's improved America going over there. But yeah, GG's for the guys with Team Denmark.
That's a funny one, because yeah, you got us 2 EMEAs and you got your 2 Americas, and we'll probably have that discussion for quite a while. But there he is with 6 kills, the 1K club joining as well. Now that said, though, actually, if it wasn't for him looking insane and probably getting, getting the man of the match and the win here, like Schiller as well, 1,000 some damage, looking insane. But we do have to give the flowers here. Matchroom 2 beamy, looking spectacular. 2 out of 3 man of the matches.
The only potential falter point that felt like could happen was right there at the end versus just the last player up for Turkey and up against India. Outside that, it was complete control over the entirety of the circle for what, 4 circles, 5 circles? It almost felt like this squad positioned perfectly for the way that this all played out, and they never relented.
23 points, yeah, going their way. 23 for Turkey as well. Amazing stuff. Schiller looking spectacular from all of this. Norway with a cheeky 7. You know, I'm not gonna begrudge them here, Gibson, for taking that shack and hunkering down, because sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah, look, they got to center the zone really early. They played it at the end. They only got 7 points, which I think they'll be disappointed with, but there was an incredible nade at the end of that as well. It was like a mortar strike where he threw it straight up into the sky and it landed right down on top of Turkey as well. But look at that leaderboard. 30 kills for Turkey. When I spoke to Schiller before this weekend, he told me his plan was to play like predators. And with 30 kills, he's basically doing that.
All right, they've got the laser sights, they've got the camouflage, they're weaving through the jungles, but 48 points, nothing to sniff at. We're going to need Arnold Schwarzenegger maybe to shut them down from all of this one. That is a result and a half from just 3 games.
There's no Austria.
Well,
so how do we stop them?
Oh. Yeah, good point, yeah.
Well, they're away with it, they've run away.
Okay, isn't he California now? Isn't he American?
Yeah, I guess if you're governor, you count. Yeah, we'll allow it. I mean, can we also just give a big shout out to Neutral for taking down Ukraine? We appreciate you guys.
Hooray! Yeah, that was kind of important, right? And you don't want them to entirely run away with it, even though it's probably going to result in a top 8. Here is Neutral, of course, trying to fight their way towards top 8. It's an interesting one watching them play at the moment, Mark, because I think we've had our reservations about how Twisted Minds has wanted to play things out in regionals as well as PGSs. And it's looked a little slower compared to some of the previous years. So hopefully they're kind of able to overcome some of that maybe if Batulins is leading the charge, right?
On paper, it is an all-star roster. They should be at the top competing and not far off, right? I just, as I said before in the pre-show, the Aduzi, Batulins mix, is Twisted Minds firing all cylinders at the moment? I'd argue maybe not. I think we'd expect a lot more from them. Will they qualify through? I think so. My concern is, do we see Ukraine go up against them as one more time? Do we see other teams potentially third party? Because actually, if you can take Batulins, you can take an Aduzi, take a Levante and Lu out the lobby, you wouldn't want them in the final because we know they're big hitters. So I'm a bit concerned. Do they get their own heads? How are they going to play this one out? Because we've only got a couple more maps for this day number 1.
A tough circle for these teams to run into each other, right, as well. Because I said it earlier in that game, Gibson, that a circle like that, with the potential of what could come in later circles because of our circle shifts, will cause teams to do some things that are a little bit more unnuanced compared to our previous games and the like in PGSs and regionals.
Yeah, I think that map was the perfect example of it. Like, when's the last time we had a phase 3, phase 4 on that section of the map, and it just wreaked havoc for all those teams on the Eastern Front. And I feel like there was a bit of complacency from some of those teams. Like, I feel like we're seeing complacency. Like, Batulins is getting knocked and getting taken out of these games, what feels like really early, and it's just not like them. And like me, you also have them on your fantasy pick. I think a lot of people have them there. They've really not kicked off today the way I would expect it from a roster that, as Mark said, is just all-stars everywhere you look.
I've got to jump in, though. I do feel like Batulins has been dying a lot early, and that's kind of become his new MO, is to get rezzed and come back in with no gear and try to, like, snake his way into getting some points. We've seen that happen a lot. But also, let's do remember that it is Batulins on day 1, and a squad that he's probably doing a lot of IGLing for, so, okay, maybe we'll see how day 2 goes, you know?
It's a toughie. It's a toughie. As we take a look across all of these rosters as well. For Norway, again, having that position wasn't too bad at all. I think that seeing them in a position like that as well. Do you have high hopes for a team like Norway here, Mark? Considering the lineup has some strong veterans on it.
Yeah, back-to-back games, they found themselves in really good positions. They're not quite closed out as I think they wanted to. In that last game, being very much down on that sort of outside, it's hard to get through, right? Especially as to try and punch a hole through teams in open terrain. But if you look at obviously where they're making the play, teams obviously looking at those calls, but they're finding the right spots. They just need to keep that point average up when it comes to the play, and I expect them to go through. When we look at the finals, if they do go through, I can't see them taking on the likes of a Team Ukraine. But for this lobby, I'd expect them a top 8 at least.
I'm watching as team handlers, and Denmark is concerned that their fourth player is not there yet, but the going. I think that's the sign. You know, you see the fear in the player to the eyes, as they're like, "Where's my remaining teammate?" Because we are now getting into game.
Сразу отправил их в лобби. Я к тому, что появилась Мортира, появился БРДМ, в котором ты тоже можешь ворваться в эту яму или просто подъехать поближе к этой яме, попробовать позакидывать гранаты. Над условным шелтером там Батулин подъезжал, да, на этом БРДМе и устроил там такой карнавал взрывов и ослеплений огня и блюзон для товарищей, которые стояли под ним. Не помню, что за команда была, но тем не менее. То есть есть какие-то позиции. К чему весь спич? Сейчас с этим ленд-ратио, то, что его отменили, насколько вообще останутся эти позиции ключевыми и какое большое их количество? Мне кажется, что сейчас самые ключевые позиции на многих картах это просто вот скалу занять с эвакуашки прилететь или что-то такое. То есть просто высота осталась.
Знаешь, как я тебе скажу, скорее даже раньше ты мог занять кемп, который тебе давал вот 3-4 прок от воды, и ты с этого кемпа, вряд ли куда-то выйдешь, но тебе точно напрокает в лицо в какой-то момент, и тогда зона будет играть.
Обязательно, обязательно.
Это Ирангель, справа от Приморска водный кемп, знаете? И вот над ним ангар. Люди, которые забирали ангар, чаще всего такие 3-4 прокнет в этот ангар. Но с этого ангара один выход наверх. Больше вправо-влево ты двигаться нормально не можешь. Тебе надо какие-то ямы делать, какие-то сэндовки, все. И ты всегда выбирал либо этот ангар, либо водный кемп. Сейчас у тебя нет выбора, ты всегда берешь этот водный кемп.
PUBG Russian комментаторларының Ермош, Адейский дегендер.
Именно с таким вот, с такими кругами, именно те, которые...
Хирузен на комменте отыр.
У нас тут Британия, да, походу это -2 как минимум. Тут Апчен хорошо покатался. Нашел пушку и сразу помчал.
Че, чипы взорвать можно?
А он, походу, не будет, он не взял.
Он не взял чипы.
Вторым просто. Он понял то, что автомобиль не стоит бросать, он за вторым доедет.
Ну это вообще беда, конечно. Беда-печаль для сборной Великобритании. У них и так расклад не самый лучший. Это нам показывает...
Атсар, болмайды что-то.
Турецкий захват.
Да, хайлайты.
Это датский захват.
Алдың ойынның кроссировкасы.
Кстати, ты когда задавал на старте прошлой карты вопрос, и Данию мы, собственно, и отметили как команду одну из перспективной по позиции.
Да, то есть у них прям хорошо было.
Ну вот Индия могла...
Они еще и стреляют. Да? Ой, они как вовремя против Индии-то вышли, да, вот этот выпад на горочку. Тут, конечно, то, что Бими проспали, прям максимально потеряшки.
Танцлютон здесь совсем ошибся, да. И даже ответные ноки были. И утил бы, если бы был хороший, но там замешкались. Сразу видно отсутствие игрового опыта. А такое количество. И посмотри от Густава, какая идеальная еще будет.
Ну вот это
Ну,
хаешка
Кеттеру,
тоже, видишь?
По
Рузом.
Кеттеру там прилетело вообще просто 2 в голову.
Да-да.
Не стесняется, да, Густав? Гранатки так.
Ирузен, Перфектикс, Мелман, Ярмош, Одескин. Весь там косырцом стримил народ.
Они зачем-то кидают на добив, знаешь? Я нокнул, надо срочно добить. А они могли это перевернуть, ну просто вот, ну, чуть-чуть правее хаешка залетела, и тогда осталась ситуация 2 в 1. А там уже, я не знаю, у Индии позиция лучше сильно. Вот одна хаешка все решила. Ну,
Ну,
кстати,
это, конечно, хайвайт сильный.
вот я вообще не понял. Они потратили 3 мортиры на финнах, но не сделали себе дорожку из ям. Они могли очень медленно двигаться именно до белого круга на этой тачке. По дорожке из ям, но они вот, не знаю, они... Я думал, они едут в какую-то определенную яму, которую сами себе вырыли, но они даже до нее не доехали, видимо, в моменте, или не увидели,
Так
куда они
хаешек
поставили.
было еще у финнов. У одного из игроков.
Да, я не
ну,
понимаю, почему так. Так очень сильно торопится разыграть. А тут медленно можно с этими хаешками, ну, кучу ям себе сделать. Еще бы против Дании в конце поиграли.
Такое ощущение, что у финнов, вот финны сейчас на турков, кстати, похожи, на тех турков а-ля
Сондай сияқты.
прочие команды, да, о которых можно говорить. Типичный турецкий коллектив, который едет в надежде на какую-то позицию, что на нее напрокает, когда не напрокала, плана нет, просто от слова совсем. При этом не реализовываются подручные средства.
Сондай сыныптар болып жатыр ғой команданың ішінде, короче. Ахай-махай болып жатқан.
Игроками команды опять хотел сказать, но все равно нет, дорогие друзья сборной Украины в данном случае. Пусть феерист, дипекс, катари, вебочки. Эти вебки другие, лучшие вебки, при том... нет, они правильно настроенные. Но то, что я видел на мониторах, это были Logitech.
Сол ана 200 GT 210 KZ деген бар.
Так это же и спонсор.
Сол игрокты тренерға жіберген ба?
Есть вообще эти-
Білу.
Наверное, что-то есть, но...
Ну там
Не
именно
Я
спонсор,
уменьшил.
да, спонсор, а не бэнк уже. Там же именно подразделение, которое... Ну, у Steel
Ну,
Series
я
точно
вижу
должно
Steel
быть.
Series, да, вижу Steel Series.
AMD есть. Вот это Мусинца, это что такое?
Можно заглянуть
Кто
в поисковичок.
в курсе? NC Player Speaks. Дейтинг эксперт.
Это одежда.
Fancy Player Speaks. Dating Expert.
Тогда ладно.
Поднялся в должности.
Как это сказать, за кулисами.
Осы 2 күндік ойында общий 10 ойын болады. Қазір 4-ші ойын болып жатыр. Предпоследний. И топ-8 команд с финалистами встречаются завтра. В пятницу.
Да, везде Таиланд. 30% на Таиланд. Все, понял. Ну, на битов, точнее, Made in Таиланд. Так и тут. Так, у нас у финнов минус скаф. Может случиться горе. Плат уже подкатывает грубее и агрессивнее тиммейты. Ну вот, опять же, мы же еще путаем, знаешь что? Стрельбу в онлайне и стрельбу на лан-клиенте.
А что мы путаем?
У XZ и у SAT 0 опыта ланов. Может, какие-то локальные, там, какие-нибудь дуо-турниры, да, вот это вот, что-то там.
Сата не катал на эти, на пелы на пике?
Так это онлайн же, это же не лан-клиент. Онлайн.
Китай, Таиланд, США, Вьетнам, Бразилия,
Как вот он катал.
Германия.
Лысый товарищ, помните, из Норвегии?
Так,
как называлось это?
Это не Норвегия, это финны.
Вьетнам, Бразилия, Китай, Германия, Индонезия, Южная Корея, Таиланд, США.
Да. Вот. Не с ним он катал?
Легенда.
Сол топ-8 өту керек
Но в
міндетті
любом
түрде.
случае, это
Финал
было
будет.
очень
Недавно
давно.
у нас обручился товарищ, вот из Аргентины, с чем мы его и поздравляем, Пипа.
Ну, шутку про Пипа не надо, вот это вот, пожалуйста. Про зарплату и вот это вот все, дорогие друзья. Мы с любовью и уважением относимся ко всем, даже такой легкий юморок пока что не совсем.
Я зону зорок тұру.
На сборной
Fun
Японии,
fact.
кстати.
Да, у нас там Heaven дал
Мэй,
никнейм,
Индустан.
и они долгие годы друзья, на самом деле. Да, проблемы что-то у ребят из Великобритании.
Великобритания
Да, на этой
ойыншысын
карте
қатқанына таяқ
Стейкхолдерс
қалмасын,
встретились,
Индус.
Сейчас Индия, причем решили все вместе они здесь остановиться. Варт остается последним игроком этого коллектива, этой страны, представлять будет. Ну и на самом-то деле все только начинается на карте, а вот для Великобритании теперь очень тяжелый момент. Не увидели мы на самом деле ключевую историю. Одну из,
Балдар вроде
да,
зоны
то есть,
нормально
что
отырды.
случилось с двумя чипами
Бесінші,
первыми,
төртінші, бесінші фазадан
когда
кейін
Мне кажется,
Овчен, да,
қалтырай
и-
бастаймын бөле біздің
Да,
балдар ше.
потому что он вроде как машину забирал, ехал вот к лутбоксику, к десбоксику. Вот, может быть, все-таки он их и уничтожил.
Потому что, ну, от сборной Британии вообще не было никаких действий в попытке на...
Карта
ну,
наша.
вот это вот собрать чипы и все остальное. Поэтому они уже просто двигались.
Юлинде отыр
Есть
ғой.
ощущение, что они были уничтожены. Да их смысл не уничтожить.
Эро 12
конкурента.
сплит. Зона. Кетіп қалды.
Ой-ой-ой, под стадион, ну пока...
Бля,
не
зонаға кіріп
Так
ойнаса
что
нормально
пока
болады
что
не
в рамках
деді.
карты ронда, кстати, круги не супер что-то там сверхъестественное или что-то непривычное.
Қараш зона
Мы видели
қашып
не
кетті.
единожды и бамбук,
Юлинде.
стадион, и юг стадиона, но тут будет интересно
Қарсы
наблюдать за
қону.
развитием событий. И коллективы прямо сейчас находятся в синке, остальные команды массово помчались.
Иса,
в белый
натуре.
круг. Притом,
Менің өзім ойым да
много
сондай ше.
Кто не ожидал, потому что
Верстори
бежать
210
процентов 80
чисто
нужно
орыстар деп
позиции.
ойлағанбыз басында.
И все это перестраивается сейчас. На эту Свинцера, они же, которые это сборная Украины, извините, да.
Всё уже.
Вроде не могу себе починить эти
Так,
перспективы
ну вот, да,
ротации.
показывают перспективы. Ну, действительно, для сборной Украины так и выглядит неплохо.
Да,
Единственное,
да.
что они
Ангара, стадион.
движутся чуть
Высота.
левее.
Ой-ой-ой, тут турки, топ-1, топ-2, топ-16 могут сейчас. Имеют шанс. У Кодмарка полетело, это хорошо, это самое главное. Если у Кодмарка, ну и по нему, правда, полетело. А у нас
Какие же
сборная Турции
агрессивные
остается один.
Филиппины.
Потом
нельзя
результативные,
просто
агрессивные. Не как условные GDG, да, которые контестятся и умирают, и все. Это агрессия, которая...
Украли Киев.
Верстори нокается от Драфткинга, Кеттер забирает Кодмарка, еще
Да,
одно
не
своровано.
фармит нормально.
Давай с болтовки еще тут нормальненько накинем ему вот это на ход ноги. Это будет, конечно, супер неприятно. И для Филиппин, с одной стороны, контакт с Турцией прошел успешно, да, для самих Филиппин, но там дальше уже третья пати, и вот это вот все, и воровство, и от датчан, и остается и капитан. Это, собственно, есть капитан тот самый. Так, а все, он же на байке, Вард, серьезно, на байке? У тебя игра
Ну, наверное,
жизни.
не ожидал встретить здесь Канаду, если
Ладно,
честно.
с такими проками.
Резнуть, хотел резнуть и вот
Поймали
его.
Осы курсанттың спотын алу керек еді.
Так, нейтралов нам показывают, ЕМП
Стадион
что
қатысты.
попало здесь.
Көреміз енді.
Что... ЕМП
Верстори 210.
Что будут
Мен
делать
кәдімгі 200 пайызға сендім ше. Хобада, Ермакта, Ермак жалпы. Ешқайсысы олармен ойнамаған да. Тандем болмай жатыр.
И заработали. Казахстан. Ага, Ермак там, видимо, пошел посмотреть, да, этот кем попробовал какую-то разведку боем произвести. Ну, вот и видим то, что там...
Қасында рестлкс бар енді.
Вынужден теперь
Крамалын табыр.
ожидать. Либо когда резнут тиммейты, хотя у нас ресовка где? Только на стадионе, да, осталось?
Ресалка в зоне ты имеешь в виду?
А, не, еще Аргентина.
Ешқашан ойнамаған, бір-бірін көрмеген, танымайтын сияқты.
Ермака поднимать.
ПНЦ составын шығарған кезде бірақ бірге сияқты.
Звучит как план.
Қазақстаннан ба не
И вызывать его обратно.
Ой-ой-ой, все интереснее, интереснее.
Молодец, давайте.
Не деген зон. Қазақстан қайтып зонада.
Зачем? Они наоборот сидят.
Нужен был шанс сейчас. Это, ну, ваш выход что-то показать вообще в этой игре.
Там
Украина
очень
неплохо,
сложная
кстати,
позиция.
заехали. да,
Мен де
на
солай ойлап едім.
стадион смогут там как-то подразыгрывать.
Чисто составты объявление істеген кезінде ғана білген сияқты.
Сложный, то, наверное, тяжеловато будет этому коллективу.
На
как-то
игроктар Қазақстаннан
себя
маниды.
показать. Скала вернули финны.
Да, на самом деле,
Әйтпесе ше,
знаете, лес, который под
GT
югом
210
находится,
біздің
обычно
турикке кіретін еді ғой.
много команд там сидит
Оны
прям
цис
в центре
ретінде алатын еді.
леса, а он полностью свободен. Для Украины это прям вот, ну, вот тот момент, который плохие
Иә,
соперники
мен де
убивают,
Санчо,
да, это полнейшее
Айнфайт
дело.
екеуі
Мне
жыбы
очень
кіреді деп
хочется
ойладым.
сказать, мне намного больше нравится, чем у тех,
Айтады
кто
ғой,
играл.
по показателям
Да, мы
ПНЦ
сами
Ермак
стадион
примерно
играть
тренер
не
болады.
будем, но они с Бардамом, видимо,
Айнфайт,
прям
Санчо екеуі
медленно смонтировали.
ойнайды деп ойлағанмын.
Квартиру ставят.
Қалғандарын білмедім.
Играть.
Прыгал Эйди и за счет этого выжил на самом деле, потому что Густав не рассчитывал на такой
Весь казак комьюнити, короче.
да,
Вахер я был.
исполнение со стороны игрока. Тут Каймайн на втором БРДМе, первый у нейтрала, второй у сборной Канады. Ну и смотрим, как тут будет. Ай, они выставляются в этом протоке, но это прям, ну, мое почтение, Лева. Давай, Лева, насыпай. Там еще мортира есть, работаем. Мия погибает, Кетер его нашел. Филиппины у нас первую.
Мне izleyen жинастырса кәдімде
Удивишь?
ел үшін ойнап
Потому что
тастау
Лева
керек
у
қой
нас
негізі
уже
соңына дейін.
отличался, я помню. На одном из турниров очень хорошо. За сборную хотел сказать Виталий, но нет. За клуб Виталити как раз за свой домашний. Тут летят хаешки. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Благо тачка засейвила. Катается БРДМ, который бы не мешало бы наоборот посадить нокнутого, и он бы там себя приводил в порядок, но Кеймайнд решил на себе, как говорится, поддержать эту историю. Тут Скаф лутается, по нему информация
вставал,
имеется.
да,
Ферист сюрпризиком для него, кажется, тиммейты далеко. Все это под зоной, окажется, через минутку. Селтик двигается с юга. Последний игрок Шинбою прилетел от Лёва. Лёва продолжает великолепно работать с СВДхи. Результативно. Единственное, что пока что фиксации не получается произвести. Ну и Скаф пока что не в курсе о соседе. В лице Фериста. Нет, это не Серега сосед, это вот Ферист.
Красава, сондай болмаса екен деп отырмын ғой.
Долетает то, что нужно было. Ног и фиксация.
Игрок команды Нади. Украинец Нади, вот.
Не, финны вообще игра не ладится, посыпались финны. Завтра я пойду переобуюсь тоже.
Не, я завтра финнов уберу из своего пика.
Это то же самое, конечно, это жесть какая.
Вопрос, дадут ли мне убрать их? Потому что Турция точно больше станет, Украина тоже больше станет. Вообще у меня будут деньги вообще кого-то поставить?
А сегодня нельзя прям сейчас пойти быстро на завтрашний день, еще не открыто?
Вот сейчас проверю.
Мен де составтар тексеріп көру керек.
Филиппинов так, оп, вместо финнов случайно.
Филиппины могут завтра не взлететь. Наверное, тут такая себе история. Сегодня вот у них все более-менее неплохо на первых 3 играх, а вот 4 уже не очень. Что у них по поинтам? Прямо сейчас у Филиппинов 26. Вроде бы как бы неплохо, но есть нюанс. Лу, Мортира.
Вы қазір өзгертуге болмайды екен.
Зрек не попадет, главное в крышу соседнего здания не попасть, а то случится беда бедовая. Так, там у нас выстрел. Курекси здесь находится в одном из спортзалов. Хотел сказать, что у меня логотип от конца игры, но это да. Так, смог. Ну, позиция для Курекси, мое почтение. Сборная Казахстана
Казахстан прогоняет реально Аргентину, надо резать товарища. Слушайте, ну шанс на самом деле сектор на барабане для Казахстана. Единственное то, что повоевать нужно будет очень хорошо, да, вот сейчас... Ага, подождите, это пока еще...
Это еще Аргентина пока что
да, это еще Аргентина, еще Ермака там, да, издеваются над трупом.
Ну, чип могут забрать и все, и весь план рухнет, к сожалению.
Казахстан
решили на одной машине остановиться еще между домами, где прострел есть. Что
Напикс Казахстандық ма не?
Приземление, Тайпей.
Орыс емес па ол Напикс?
Хороший минус уже есть
приземление, да, от Ксина уже не получилось. Там Курекс, который начал настреливать, он приземляется. Обчен тоже получилось. Да, Диффикс хорошо против Адолзи сыграл. По уезжающему лупу стрелял.
И смотрите, что сработало. Колбасой ехали нейтралы, заехала Доус.
Аргентина. О, Аргентина.
Заканчивается Драфткинг с пола, всех убил просто. Бустик еще взрывает Курекси. Минус сборная Финляндии уже окончательно. Нейтралы. Ну, там двойка уехала в сторону. Кстати, тоже интересная зона у нас получается. В сторону домов стадиона, да, городская часть.
Ермак сатып кету керек пе еді, бір адамды қалдырып.
Батулин, что за планы вообще, Александр? Лес, про который говорил, да, у нас минус Леванты, Батулин, но какая-то община тут же
съедает.
Взорвал Джимса, у нас драки
Әлі,
одновременно треугольнички падают к Норвегии, датчане с ними.
Қазір соңғы ойын қалды, ертең тағы бір ойын.
Исполнение сборной Норвегии, смогут ли его использовать или нет, ребята, взрывается.
Как эта гаешка прокатилась.
Какой же отскок неприятный.
Да, он в молотов зашел случайно, просто там на секундочку, и действительно хватило урона от этого отскока.
Да, без ойын қазір.
Последний
ойын одан кейін тағы бір ойын болады.
Риза много отправляет,
ертең тағы без ойын.
Поле, сборная Индии страдает. Нас рожать несколько...
Қазір реплейден көрсететін жар енді, Драфткинг қалай Қазақстан жапқан.
Джинкс падает от Бими, и Даня пытается допушить здесь сборную Норвегии.
Хай, привет.
Отправляет Обчену, достается Леванты. Батулин, видимо, решил не поднимать своего тиммейта. Видим то, что там еще и сборная Турции совсем рядом находится с последним игроком нейтралов.
Там резались пацаны же, мы помним, да, этот раскладец. Но вот случилось...
Срочно сбор Джиги, Симпаға билетке.
Кирилл заехал
Бүгін
на склон,
жердік
который практически
Кореяға.
выжить в перспективе. Шило
Болмаса, екі шығы сияқты, екі шығы жеректі.
То есть минус отметить.
Акшеринг топ ше.
Наверху стоит с дробовиком на втором этаже. Леванту он и не планировал, я так понимаю, спасать. Просто взял дробовик, стоит АФК, да, ждет.
Заехали, конечно.
Эй! Запушит. Так, а где
Нулбек, Андрей. Спорный.
Я же говорю, на склоне, вот он изначально поехал не туда.
Сені айтқанмен кетсем.
Ой-ой-ой, ну транслюсент
Бля, не мынау?
Они всех выбили.
Аргентина Қазақстанды жабатты, Индия кеп Аргентинаны жауып кетеді ғой. Неге бізді балдар осы сияқты өздері не үшін жаппады?
в этом леске, и каждый по одному нокнулся с разной точки. Ой-ой-ой.
Джей, молю, ну что ты делаешь?
А его нокнул Дифекс вообще, вообще нокнул. Это вообще Дифекс спасал.
Ну сдай, сдай в него всю обойму,
это очень сложно, это очень сложно. Потому что
прощай,
РДМ
ну вот у ребят, ну вот есть игрок, который готов пострелять по БРДМу. Да, там, кстати, момент, что у Дании-то есть Панзерфауст, я видел одного из игроков, поэтому, возможно, мы сейчас увидим привет, который будут передавать водителям этого замечательного движного средства. Тем временем Шил у нас падает, и сборная Канады сразу двух игроков. Миксов Финнов ног отправил, ну и Бустик по атому сработал, то что издалека. Он сейчас показывает как раз от лица Бустика, как это происходит, ну а Микзену Финна достается.
У меня такой сейчас флешбэк с одного из турниров. Кто помнит, так. Да, этот, когда здесь играли игроки...
Я третьего лица, о.
Они очень крутой мув сделали.
Я соңғы Эрангель, қазір раундтан кейін тағы бір Эрангель болады.
Очень крутой, то ли ПГС, то ли чё, то ли ЕВЦ. Я еще видосик по нему делал, когда улетели из файта, БТ прям находясь в файте, улетели, короче, на шарике, прилетели в этот городок, из этого городка вышли в зелень, и вот с зелени, где Нави оказались. Единственное, что дальше розыгрыша у них не было уже, это смерть.
ПНЦ, PUBG, мобайлада болып жатыр екен ғой?
Индии не получилось все-таки верхнюю позицию удержать.
Тиктоктан бір не шықты да видео? Суреттерін, короче. Қазақстан сол жерде топ 12-те тұрған соң.
Лу все еще на своем склоне, но это вопрос времени, когда ему либо просто по нему переедут игроки команды сборной Украины, либо стороны его увидят игроки сборной Малайзии.
Енді мына квалы нелердің бәрін қазір жаңа форматқа байланысты осы биылдан бастап қояды третье лица. Полный 26-й жылы третье лица болады бүкіл глобальный турнирлерде.
Не пойдет в их сторону.
Енді үйренген шығар.
Надейся, конечно. Да-да-да.
Кстати, сборная Украины, а куда им играть? В Малайзию?
Просто проедут сейчас там, где умирали индусы, и все. Если есть транспорт, если есть возможность, то сольник из Японии пока не сильно так опасен.
Ну, скахарши степ кетті.
Через Лу как раз таки, через склон и заехать прямо вот туда, где северная двойка.
Негізі бірінші ойында көрдің ба?
Великолепно.
Бірінші ойында да Гарамаудау зонада олар сұрықта тұрған. И 4-ші ма, 5-ші ма фазада секіріп кетті басқа жаққа. Ротацияда қырып қалып көстілер.
Здесь на датчанах. Плюс 2 себе поинта, транслюзун переживет уходетку. Это просто какая-то невероятная история сейчас произошла. Бими с Кеттером вдвоем остались. Батулин сам себе достается. Собственно, как говорится, не достаешь я никому. Митибей стреляет по игроку команды над Пинцером. Он там соло был Митибей, кстати. Ну и эту яму...
Скиндердің көбісі не бұл? Коллаборационный нелер. Именно PNC-ға арналған скиндермен ойнауға болады. На события болып жатқаннан кейін.
В итоге за это немножечко поплатились. Бустик ноги
Мысалы,
оказался...
ПГС болса, ПГС-ның скиндермен ойнайды.
Остаются ребята.
Ой, хорошо.
Конечно, красавчик.
Япония бізден шығып кетті төбеге. Бір поинтпен көтетіп тұрған команда еді.
Ну вот, Нави сделали самый, походу, очевидный мув, да? Утонуть вот в свободное пространство. Но он слишком был очевидный.
Оны біз түгел өздері де білмей тұр ғой, кім екенін ше.
Кирилл-то живет.
Единственное, что
он будет сейчас, и там Австралия подтянулась, которая в него не смотрит. Он забегает в спину, по сути, и Австралии, и Малайзии, но рано или поздно все, его Япония заспотала, и Sunny Side начинает работать не по Кириллу теперь. Нужно добежать, там то ли там будочка или что у него там, какое-то микроукрытие. Ага, это телега, я понял, это кусок металлолома. И при этом тут два коллектива фуловые сейчас будут драться. Ну, 3 в 3 точно драка здесь намечается. 4-й это Тиг, сборная Австралии чуть позже
Екінші плюс-минус нормально
спину.
Килл болмаса, плейсмент болды. Үшінші ойын бір киллмен.
Какой-то ног бы случился, если честно, либо в одну, либо в другую сторону, было бы уже хорошо. Потому что пока нока нет, они
без задержки,
никакие... Вот, все, началось, хорошо, поехали. Так. Есть размен, вообще великолепно. Можно попробовать кого-нибудь подворовать.
Пока не, пока
скорее всего, даже придется это делать, на самом деле. Только еще размены будут, вот должен сейчас понимать, да, что...
Она кімдет там?
Слушай, у Малайзии еще нужны
Лума. Как он не настрелял?
Залетел, он прям в игрока стрелял. Он нокнул и пострелял по люку, но не залетело то, что хотелось. Классно вообще Люк отреагировал в этом моменте. Очень круто.
Ну, достанется килл, потому что Тиглтон он в нок отправлял, да, видимо, что... Заберет здесь один килл.
Вкус крови не почувствовали, видимо.
Нейтральной команды. И побежал Шен.
Вкус крови керек болып тұрған.
Давай, MVP.
Қандан сесе, кейін ойын жүретін сияқты.
Касси. Бобровая заводь. Пульки закончились.
19.
Манас бітқалды на Шенмен.
Закончились. У меня после 3 пуль заканчивается. Каждый раз. Каждый раз.
Давай, Шен.
И тут же
Япония армор его максимально спас,
Индия топ-4, что там?
Фу, конечно, уничтожили сразу сюда. Япония подъезжает. У нас 2 сольника из Индии и Шен как раз из Малайзии. А вот где двойка датчан? Что мы там планируем делать? Да, они вроде как сейчас на одного из коллектива Индии-то и выйдут, да? Ну, не спешат, кстати, на самом деле.
Там пока плана такого нет, там просто АФК гейминг, чтобы... понятное дело, да, сколько они видят Элайва. Элайва 8 человек, соответственно, их двое, аж 6 противника. Где-то рядышком находится один из индусов, один из сборной Индии. И, соответственно, даже не дергается, даже не пытается как-то там форсировать события. У Шена еще и БРД. А он живой?
Не-не, мертвый. Это БРД мертвый.
Все, ладно, мертвый, но все равно
отмена,
нормальное укрытие. Все равно приятная штуковина. Единственное, что это укрытие внимание привлекает, но 31 пулька, которую он не подлутал все-таки с трупов.
Как будто я понял, куда это закцу.
Может сыграть с ним злую шутку. Датчане еще один.
Нет, он оттаран команды.
На вторую строчку выходит сборную Турции, я так понимаю.
Честно скажу, страшно мне за Японию. Очень страшно за Японию, потому что вот много сольников, много кто может подъесть. Сейчас 8-я зона, это будет централизация, у Снипула будет звездочка. И у Малайзии намного лучше, ну, будет именно рельефчик против той же Японии, потому что вот Японии надо застроиться как-то вот слева от Снипула, видите, вот это вот выемка. Им придется там играть, надо им яму уже там организовывать, либо просто...
Япония широкий световой инноватор.
Одного из Малайзии убивать. Вот тут яму, то, что он делает, это ошибка, мне кажется. А, нет, 8-я. Убрали же, или... Почему так получилось? Она не центранулась, да?
Да, убрали.
Она
не центранулась,
нет, 7-я, это 7-я, 8-я, вот только сейчас же.
Ну да, 8-я, она, видишь, фул лево ушла.
Да, но она может двигаться. Это 8-я уже равно 9-я.
Обычно это централизация, 8-я зона была, сейчас она немного сместилась слева, но в итоге у Японии все хорошо.
Это хорошо, потому что она сложный ландшафт подсвечивает сейчас, больше берет во внимание этот, скажем так, пологий, да, вот открытый ландшафт, открытое пространство. Для Японии как будто бы есть варик, вариант, возможность, ну и тут
очень опытный, очень живучий игрок Торн был.
Хаешками, да, не дали вообще пострелять, не дали.
Особенно Биби.
Шену больше справился он с австралийцами, но проявить себя больше с автоматического какого-то оружия японцы не дали, еще и побили.
Ракетер.
Постреливают, да, БЗшки здесь застакали, конечно, ребята из Индии, но...
Индия!
Стрелять-то лучше. Биби как спасает Кетера.
Но это облегчает задачу для датчан, хотел сказать, но в данном случае для сборной Японии. Ну победа, давайте, мы сборная Японии не списывали со счетов.
Бими может раскрутиться, я
перестреливать, да, единственное сейчас он до конца отстреливается почему-то, да.
Пустовал колер.
Одна аптека осталась, ну и нет.
Я понял, пожалуйста, топ-1. Сколько? 9 килов.
Стрельба, видимо, сдался Бими, да, после того,
Плюс
как
он
первый
тоус
пару
point.
пуль выпустил и понял то, что не дает нока. И поздравляем мы сборную Японии. Запомните этот момент, запомните, потому что, да, у ребят совсем не получалось до вот этих проков, которые прям совсем...
Ну, Таня, НТ.
Куда к датчанам пошел общаться норвежец?
Таня, и так топ-того.
К своим тиммейтам.
Бағана кім?
Путал по старой памяти.
Тиминг.
Оникс айтқандай. Қазақ, Жапон бір туған дей ма?
Ну, в любом случае, это приятная победа для сборной Японии, потому что, ну, давайте будем откровенны, регион давно уже лишился своего чемпионата внутреннего, да, по PUBG. Он сейчас является частью АПАКа, там играет всего одна команда, ну, в общем, сложности есть в рамках регионального присутствия, да.
Страна восходящего солнца и уходящего PUBG.
Мэтт ин Japan.
Надеюсь, нет, я осуждаю на всякий случай.
Егор что-то кешкісін барып өтіп ше бір кішкене бір лекция айтып өтетін сияқтысың балаларға.
Приклеили, как могли, рыбы прилипало к другому региону. У нас теперь еще 2 АПАКа там тоже в уме.
Ну там не 2, там вообще это разделенный он.
Прям керек болып тұр ғой сенің барған ше, Егор.
Все в своем стиле, на самом деле.
Барш, балаларға.
Очень интересно. Все там, сколько лет игре, придерживаются ребята одной только аксиомы, да? Ой, там он еще и по своему попал, австралиец. Да, я не увидел, кто там. Ну, в общем, чуть-чуть помогли.
Егор!
В хайлайтах должен быть этот момент. Шен
Там Рунокс,
мог...
видишь, стрелял, там Рунокс смешал, плюс Куе, вот эта стрельба.
Жоқ, бұл состав Ермак Жирман бұны. PUBG Крафтон өз жинаған.
Тоже классный результат, мне нравится.
Пек бар ғой?
Датчане на первое место вышли.
PUBG EME Competition ба? Championship. Championship.
Ну, Япония, кстати, если вот еще хорошая игра, и они могут пройти, они сколько сейчас?
Барудың өзіне стоит болып тұр ма?
Очень ждем, очень.
Да, я очень хочу, чтобы какая-нибудь Япония такая залетела, потому что вот мне нравится бескребетность Норвегии, Канады, ну Канада там внизу где-то и находится, финны, которых мы все с вами пикнули. Вот,
о, Панда, Фивен.
Это ужас.
Капитан команды.
Опа, қателеспесем, Пек ойнамаға.
Команды.
Наверное, ага, Man of the Match.
Лучно, паразам біреу шақырып тұр ғой.
Не достается тем, кто побеждает.
Бустик.
Пока что такая закономерность присутствует.
4-ші ойын бітті.
Нави был хороший.
Қазір соңғы ойын қалды.
Украина была хорошая перспектива на розыгрыш.
Эрангелде болады соңғы ойын.
Сложно реализуемо.
Составты по показателям Пек деп жазған тұғын өздері. Сол бойынша жинаған ғой.
А вот нейтралы меня прям просто, с одной стороны, предсказуемо, я это говорил еще при объявлении наличия нейтралов, да, на турнире, что если будет батут, то мы будем примерно что-то такое наблюдать. Похоже, но вот эта колбаса, это прям грусть была. Заехавший, кто там, Адолс или кто первый заехал, и 0 хелпы, Сольник на дифексе, да, с пулеметом, но Сольник просто закрыл заезд, и дальше уже кто в лес, кто по дрова. Там этот какой-то заезд в эти города с 0 информации, вообще, при том углубление на самый север, где, ну, как раз и был соперник. Ну, как бы план такой себе. Датчане красавчики, 5-7 поинт.
Проблема команды нейтралов, мне кажется, вот я как отмечал, это на второй зоне. Ты первая команда, которая находится к верхнему хардшифту, у тебя зона фулл улетает вверх. Ты знаешь, что у тебя стадиона не будет, даже если ты не уверен, ну заедь ты в ту позицию, которую в итоге ты и выпушивал, диффикса, вот эту гору. Забери ты ее, собери информацию. Пространство мало держат ребята, в итоге приходится вчетвером потом куда-то ехать, пытаться драться против команды, у которых много спейса. Вот, ну и диффикс их закрыл из Нави, команды Украины. Вот.
А на самом деле он просто колбаса это дурацкая.
Да, колбаса происходит, потому что спейса нет, ты ждешь какую-то определенную зону, а круги-то новые, они уходят, но не будет у тебя этой зоны поля, которой ты привык играть. Она уйдет куда-то влево, как она ушла, и вот ты сиди и придумывай. Вот, и поэтому, мне кажется, до третьей зоны то, что они спейс не держат, вот это вот их губит.
Так, пока на перерыв хватим, да, совсем скоро вернемся.
Google Play Point. These points get you more than a high score. Play, earn, and redeem them for exclusive rewards. that supercharge your
Жауапкершілікті өздеріне aldı o.
or score the latest must-have gear and up your game with sweet accessories. You're already winning. Now go get the rewards with Google Play Points. Redeem now and go reward yourself.
Топ 8-ге 12 point керек. Индия жоғарыда, Япония топ 8-ге шығып кетті.
Fueled by the same passion as esports athletes, Zowie continuously develops tailored products, empowering gamers to bring their best
Соңғы
out.
ойын қалды.
Today, we are launching the all-new XL2566X Plus, which uses the newly developed Fast TN panel and upgraded Diac 2 technology. The new monitor series continues to
i5.
evolve, refining details to ensure players
По
can
твоему.
perform their best consistently.
Ең соңындағы тұрған игрок. Топ
For the
64.
first time ever, you get next-gen power in gaming earbuds, giving you flawless wireless.
Давай, Кас.
That's plug and play. Now you've got 100
Open,
plus audio
open.
presets at your fingertips, so you can hear bad guys better, hear whatever you want better. That's a giant leap for earbuds and a new way to play for glory.
Arctis Nova 7 Gen 2. The app called
Okudum,
the
okudum,
biggest cheat
okudum.
code in the industry is here for PC and console. It's got real-time audio control to do crazy things.
Okay. Okay.
Неде қазір Хоба, Санчо, Курсан, Жанник отыратын еді, замена Джексон.
It's the new gold standard.
Хоба бар ғой, 210 орнына кіріп алды. Джексон пенсионер ғой, ё-моё.
A new way to play Rondo. Smoke that interacts with the map. And some
Бля,
balance
ну,
adjustments.
картина ше.
All this and more as we dive into the
Жататын
update
картина ол кәдімгі.
42.1 patch report. First up, there's a new way to dive into Rondo with the Blue Zone rule set available through Arcade Labs. The action starts immediately, with the first zone shown on the map right at drop for all 64 players to fight over. There's also an increased loot and vehicle spawn rate to help you gear up faster.
Knocked out?
Yeah, knocked
Oh,
out.
who's been knocked out? Hello everyone, welcome to another sit-down game time with Bella, and today's special guest to open up PNC is Team Finland. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
We are going to play Never Have I Ever. The goal is get rid of one teammate to fold all 5 fingers. So the one that folds all 5 fingers first, we have to give them a penalty. Should we do like a post-chicken ceremony, or what are you guys thinking?
Nothing.
Nothing. Maybe I should just designate like a TikTok dance for you to do.
No.
And you have to do one with me.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we start?
Жағдай өкінішті кәдімгі теле.
Never have I ever been to China.
Okay, coach down 1. All right.
Never have I ever broken any gaming gear.
Oh, okay. If you have broken gaming gear. Okay.
I don't think I've broken anything.
He's lying. Never have I ever had sushi.
Sushi? You've never had sushi?
I have. I don't.
You have not?
I'm allergic to fish.
Oh. Okay, my condolences.
Never have I ever been knocked out. Knocked out.
Knocked out?
Yeah, knocked
Oh,
out.
who's been knocked out?
Me.
Oh. What?
Never have I ever drank alcohol.
That's a lie, right? That's not a lie?
It's not a lie. I mean, I tasted, but never drank. So you drank.
На, европейцы ешқашан ішпеген дейді.
Never have I ever drank like bottle of alcohol or something.
You have 1?
Zero.
Zero.
I lost.
So I guess we have to have 2 penalties.
Сол сұрақ қой.
Do you guys want to do it now, or do you want to do
Екінші
it
көң құртып ше.
chicken?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, I will be hunting you guys down for it. All right. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you at the next one too. Bye.
Мынадан кейін ше, БП-ға да ешкім алмайтын сияқты. Буймин. Курсан сияқты ше. Буймин. Бля, осы Итскридға ырзам ше. Германияның игрогы. Дига eSports ойнайды. Я YouTube'да, Twitch'та, TikTok'та қазір бәрінде бар ғой.
Заключительная пауза первого дня стадии выживания национального турнира PUBG позади. PNC 2026. Кстати, Avenger тут тренер Дании, я так понимаю, да? Или нет? Он что-то ходит в футболке джерси, собственно, Дании. Да, для вас по-прежнему одесский ярмарки Рузен. Рада вас приветствовать. Здравствуйте всем, кто с самого начала сегодняшнего дня с нами наблюдает за этим замечательным турниром. Ну и остается заключительная игра первого дня стадии выживания. Напоминаю то, что у нас на 2 дня стадия выживания
национальный пока
в рамках этого турнира. И вот заключительный Эрангель. Мы
Алда енді Games of Future игры будущего. Астанада болатын ладно. Енцы. Валикум ассалам. Я только бірінші сообщение көрмей, екінші сообщение көріп қаптым.
Обсуждали за кадром сейчас, я лично свое мнение, что мне очень нравятся зоны. Очень круто все это выглядит, динамично. Карты прям одна за другой, уже 4 карты позади, у нас всего одна карта на сегодня остается, 6 карт вообще для команд в рамках этого этапа. Сборная Великобритании пока что не может продемонстрировать никакой серьезной игры, конкурентоспособных каких-то действий против оппонентов.
Шілденің 29-на Билайн аренада.
Удивляют в первом дне, но есть еще второй день.
Билайн аренада. Games of Future. Игры будущего.
Получится или нет у этих команд, те же турки, те же филиппинцы.
Сон квалификациясын өткізіп,
карту филиппинцы уже на ранней
бір команда шарт
агрессии.
Дига eSports өтті.
Не всегда будет получаться, на самом деле, удачно проводить эти противостояния.
Дига, Қоян, Курсант, Айнфайт төртеу өткен.
Бірақ
команданың ішінде бір өзгеріс болады, басқа ойыншы бар.
Интересно, но в любом случае молодцы, филиппинцы очень много поинтов для себя заработали и достаточно близко к тому, чтобы в гранд-финале мы эту команду тоже наблюдали.
Да, общий лидерборд выглядит сбитенько, но при этом первый день. Какие эмоции у тебя вызывают коллективные нижней части турнирной таблицы, Хирч?
Индия. Очень хочу, чтобы ребята прошли в финал. Прям, ну, очень хочу.
Командаларына бір замена бар.
Не хочу я смотреть на какого-нибудь, ну, не знаю даже кого уже. На самом деле все, кто там есть в топ-8, уже нормальные команды. Ну, просто Японию хочу. Я точно не хочу Норвегию увидеть. Не хочу UK увидеть.
Нормально,
не хочу
Джим за братишка задушил.
Да, ну, Канада, вот это. Казахстан, извините, пожалуйста, ребят, тоже не хочу. Вот, ну вот мне реально нравится, как команды, когда показывают зубы.
Алга.
Өздерінің шешімдері ғой енді.
Люблю этих ребят, но они не показывают зубы в игре. Реально, нету вот этой вот, ну, борьбы какой-то. А
что-то и не было позиции в ключевых зонах, чтобы что-то показать.
Так они не доживают до этих позиций.
Адескими ермо шалқан кәдімгі.
Если бы там, где живет
Ермош, принарядился.
Вся команда, когда они бы придумали ротацию, нормально бы туда доехали бы, или хотя бы играли бы с воды, тогда бы они играли вместе бы, но они же по раздельности играют. А вот Индия, Япония, им вот, ну, видно, что им не хватает скилла, чтобы играть более, ну, на уровне, грубо говоря, с топ-6 коллективами, там, с Дании, с Украины, с Турции. Но при этом очень хочется, чтобы они в топ-8 зашли. Вот, ну, нереально.
Так, а про Аргентину мы что-то хотим рассказать? У нас ребята на 4-м месте находятся. Так-то. Да, мы видим то, что у нас есть 3 прям ярких лидера. Прямо сейчас, да, 57 для Дании, Украины, 55-52 для Турции. Но вот дальше Аргентина и нейтралы. У нас 5.
Билет Freedom'да шықты.
Главное количество у нейтралов и Филиппинов. Можете дальше там посмотреть.
Freedom'да бар.
Совсем не получается у Канады, Финляндии. Тайпей с Казахстаном, наверное, можно также сюда записать.
А, это у нас сервис еще
берет.
берет.
Там греха таить,
Слушай, бар.
тоже Хирузен сказал.
Так вот, допустим, от Индии, Казахстана, окей.
Team Vitality, Twisted Minds, Фальконы. Көп команда келеді планға. Астанаға.
Алло, Макфлай, камон. Ну это, парни,
Ой, Ермак бірақ килл тапты.
Никакой либо вообще игры, мы
Қалған 2-3 нок берді, ол ноктың бәрін жеп кетті.
Выбрали себе отжимания
Тикетон. Тикетон фридинг емес пе как раз? Сол жерде бар уже билеттер?
Сравнение тем временем у нас двух сборных, сборная Украины, сборная Дании, 36-34 по килам, очень близко, 5800, 5900.
TGLTN келеді.
Чуть выше у Дании. 25.
Батулин келеді.
Чуть значительно, на 3 минуты с лишним, на 3,5, даже больше, чем минуты. Топ-4 75, ну, датчане супер стабильные, 50% топ-4 у сборной Украины, ВВЦД 50% у сборной Украины, потому что они выиграли 2 из 4 игр, которые мы посмотрели. Датчане выиграли 1 из 4, ну и вот такая вот.
Ну смотри, получается, что только одну игру провалили датчане, правильно? Потому что вот смотри, 75% они в топ-4%, да. Из них 25% это одна ВВЦД. Получается, 4 игры позади, легкая.
А, и там конкретнее.
Да, легкими
математическими. Телефон наборит картинка.
Мы здесь понимаем, что по сути только...
Вон это гейминг, Китай. Anyone Legends, DN, Supers, Full Sense.
Так, это что?
Gram of the Expendables, Giga Esports, GD Gaming, Made in Thailand, R8 eSports, Shadow eSports T1, Team Falcon, Team Vitality, Twisted Minds, Virtus Pro, Giga eSports. Осы 16 команда 3 күн бойы қырылады. $1 миллион үшін.
То, что какое бы отношение было, не было индивидуальное, да, к каким-либо игрокам, тому же Густаву, но в целом этому парню, если дать играть...
Сол северде түсінсетін ба? Келе.
Хорошую игру, и вот он идет на лидирующих позициях у себя в коллективе сейчас, благодаря, опять же, своим тиммейтам, и не без помощи своего тренера. Авенджер давал интервью, почему он выбрал позицию тренера, а не позицию таланта, да, допустим, да, в студии аналитики. Как часто он занимает эту позицию на других турнирах, то он любит этот вайб, любит это...
За ойынды топ 16-ға дейін.
Частью вот этого
процесса. $1000 дейін берді, короче.
Импонирует намного.
А ПНСНК $500,000 плюс краудфандинг, тима.
Да,
он в 2017 или 2018 году был про-игроком.
Так, это интересно сейчас.
Сейчас восстановим быстренько.
Мы на отборах к PGL против него катали, по-моему, я катал против него. В какой-то точно он команде играл, я не помню, как точно
называется. Команда так. Подожди, была команда Трецов Мейхем, в Пенте он играл, если что. Пенту кто помнит.
ПНЦ квалы болған жоқ, ПНЦға не болды, приглашение болды.
Ну и дальше уже это больше рофла какие-то истории. В Пенте он играл ЛЛ, Global League, сезон 1, Альфа Division, неделя 1.
Енді біздің президентіміз нұсқауы бойынша болып жатыр ғой ол нәрсе, киберспортта кәдімгідей внимание бөлсін деп айтты ғой.
Команчик дядя Миша играл, если кто будет слушать дядя Миша вопросики.
Мынау игры будущего деген бар ғой. Ол жақта тек қана PUBG емес. Ол жақта 50 түрлі осы онлайн состязание болады. Dota, Liga Legend, Counter Strike, баскетбол, бір бәле тағы түрлі спорттар, короче. Қателеспесем,